Phase 2 of Chicago Bears free agency. Let's get it cracking. Yo, 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 no maniacs, super no maniacs, and all in between. Welcome to another edition of Feed the Bears. Well, we're going to do our job on phase 2, man, and it's been a slow period. And first of all, let me start off by apologizing to, there's not going to be a whole lot of people here right now at this moment until they figure out we're here. Why? It's because I made a mistake in the setup of the show. I set the show up for 2 o'clock tomorrow, and up until 10 minutes ago, it was set up for 2 o'clock tomorrow. So it might be a minute before people see that we're live and we're in here. But for all those who see us right now, I see 6 or 7 people right now. Come on in, pile on in, man. We're going to get going and get started with phase 2 of free agency, which has been very, very quiet. And, to our good luck, we did 4 hours yesterday, fellas, and it was a long one. And I got right out and, got me something to eat and went right to the tape and start studying, the guys that we have on the team we just acquired. And I learned some stuff, man. You know what I mean? So we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. But listen, it's been very, very quiet since we were last live, man. And, I'm looking around at the fan base. I'm looking at different shows, different podcasts, looking at live chats, and just seeing what people are talking about. So the excitement was like boom, boom. And all of a sudden, everybody started, going back to that old pessimism and trying to be couch GM and talking about the money we spent. Is it all that kind of stuff, man? And it's a little disappointing, man, because some of us naturally have a bent towards pessimism. And, I'm not one of those guys, man. So I just definitely have never been able to relate to those type of people. But here we are today, man, to give you guys some new life, bring some fresh air into the situation. And I got some really good takes. I think you guys are going to want to hear about the guys we acquired, man. So without further ado, let me pass it to my guy, FFG, who's the first one up on base. Hey, man, what's been going on since the last time we chit-chatted?
I lost a bet to my woman about free agency, which I hate to be able to admit. So I got to do some extra sauce in my household.
Uh-oh.
I'll tell you why in a little bit, but I see searching for a doomsday and my boy Victor Perez up in the building.
By the way, searching for a doomsday, that's not. He's not happy right now, man. He wants to see some change, and the whole like Naj is like I said something at the very beginning of at the very end of the season, and I was saying to myself, and I said this live on show, whatever we do, I said this offseason can't be about just Caleb Williams. This got to be about the fundamentals and the foundation of your team and making sure you get the basics right and getting these trenches right and let the whole thing about Caleb take care of itself. I was saying that. I think Naj grabbed onto that and he's like right there, teeter-tottering right there on the edge of, hey, man, I need to see some change right now. And what I've been seeing so far ain't it. And so that's just where he is. That's Naj. But go ahead, FFG.
All right, what's up, Naj? Trying to be in disguise. We know you. Get your wrench network going. Aunt Moss in the building. Yeah, what we want to talk about is how well we've done so far in free agency, what we may think is coming, and what our competitors are up to. Because I think that's something to keep an eye on as well. That's why I got some stuff to do because I lost a little bit yesterday.
So what up, Trips?
What up? What up? Just hanging out. NFL free agency day 2. Talk a little BS with the no maniacs. Some people like the move, some people don't like the move. Some people say it's too much money. Some people say it's not enough money. Well, nobody's saying it's not enough money. People are saying, well, we should have did this, we should have did that, blah, blah, blah. Everybody has their opinions, and whether they're valid or not, guess what? They don't make no damn difference to what actually happens. So let's look at reality, what we got, what we did, what is actually going on. And if you don't like it, you don't have to. If you do like it, that don't mean that it's right. We got to wait to see it all play out on the field. But you can have an opinion whether it's, I like this move or I don't like this move. If you don't like it, don't criticize people that do like it. If you do like it, don't criticize people that don't like it. Because guess what? everybody has their own thoughts, their ideas, their visions, and some people are not really clear in the head. So their opinions really shouldn't matter anyway. So let it all go.
No, Trip, you're not wrong, man. And you know what? I'm glad you said it like that, because all the time, every day that we do live content and we're interacting with the people, I have to remind myself that, all the time, my way of thinking ain't necessarily everybody's cup of tea. And, I'm an optimistic person. I'm glass half full, man. People know that. I'm bent towards seeing this thing in the way that obviously the people inside House Hall see it. Put your thing on mute when you need to, FFG. But listen, I think these are great moves, and I'm gonna get into reasons why when I start breaking down what I saw on tape. The only video I was able to do so far was Drew Dalman, so I guess I'll start there. Now, we talked about his pedigree, his dad being a dog offensive lineman for the 49ers for 7 years of his career and never went to another team, retired there. That's one thing. Went back to some of his early tape when he first got in the NFL. He was definitely a work in progress, man. He was very, very high. What do I mean by high? Pad level was too high, and he was getting pushed around quite a bit. And you see over time, you can see this guy, like if I turn on film right now, one of the first things you'll notice about him is how his base stance sits. He's always in that crouching tiger, hidden dragon stance, Trip, FFG. He's always ready to absorb the pressure. I think that's a great upgrade for any offensive lineman. If you want to watch how you should maintain your stance, and that's one thing. He's got a really good, strong bottom half, man, and he's learning how to really sit down and absorb pressure, man. That's one of the things that stuck out. The second thing is, of course, he gets off that ball. He's a very athletic center, very, very athletic. So I don't think he's going to be limited to anything that they want to do here in Chicago. So what they did in Atlanta was a lot of wide zone. For people who don't understand what that concept is, this is when you see the stretch runs where you see the entire line kind of stretching to one side or the next, and you hand the ball off to the running back, and he's aiming for that outside point, but it's a one-cut, get-upfield kind of offense. And he performed that well, man. He really gets off that ball and takes the attack to the defender. And that's a real positive trait. There's a lot of complaints about, he's not the best pass rusher in the league. I saw his film, man, and I'm gonna say this. I would say he's a better run blocker than he is a pass blocker, but that doesn't mean he's a bad pass blocker. I thought I saw stability, nothing but consistency the entire time I was looking at the tape. And I was very pleased with what I saw. I'd already looked at some of it early in the offseason, but I got a chance to really dig into it last night. I was really pleased with what I saw. I think we're sitting pretty with this guy right here.
Trips?
FFG,
No, you're not stuck.
Rotation.
Oh, I'm in rotation. Okay.
Puff, pass the Dutchie to the left hand side, to the left hand side.
Well, give it here, then. All right. So yeah, I have to agree with No Man. I think he's progressed basically with the help of the offensive line coaches he's had, plus his father giving him the benefit of his knowledge over the course of his entire career from high school. He's got a lot more explosion out of his lower half. So he does anchor pretty well, and he fires off the ball, especially in run plays. He attacks, and that's what we kind of wanted, was an attacking style offense where when we run the ball, we not sitting back and waiting for the block. We going out and blocking them and pushing people around. That's what I like. Now, as far as his pass blocking goes, he's not bad. It ain't like he's terrible. He just more efficient at run blocking. So I think with the help of Dan Roshar and the offensive line coaches and assistants that we have, they can actually teach him a slightly better technique to be a better, where he can extend his arms, where he can use a little more power in his hand placement. So I think his hand fighting can use some help right now, because he's got the power to push off, but he doesn't have the power to hold up and to move. He does more hugging and tugging. You know what I mean? When it comes to pass blocking. So, but the best part about what he's getting ready to have around him is 2 Pro Bowl guards that's going to allow him to get better every day. And they can usually move as one. And this unit, I think, will develop a lot faster with all this veteran presence.
And we have to realize that there were only so many options, on these positions, very slim pickings. So looking at the way it was approached by Ryan Poles, he was like looking at this guard free agent class. It was worth the draft picks to give up for Jackson and Tooney. It was good work to get the top center, free agent, not prospect, but player. The way that Poles is putting this together, he's giving the tools to Coach Roshar and Johnson to make that offense run. And they had to sign off on it and be like, yeah, okay, we're good with that. It's not like Poles is like, well, we're bringing in these guys, you make them work. It's a cohesive thing that they're all working together, and I like it. The actual play on the field is to be determined. We can look at all the film we want, and it's like, well, he does this. These are his strengths. These are his weaknesses. Guess what? The coaching staff will know that as well. And they're the ones that actually are out there, making them drill and showing them the proper techniques, and they're working with each other. So, yeah, it's not going to be like, well, we got this guy, we got that guy and that guy. We're good. Super Bowl. It's like, no, they got to work together, but we got the talent. We got the attitudes. We got the veteran presence, and we will have the youth. So it's coming together because, that's what you need to have a solid team.
Yeah. I have a different take than FFG than what I saw on film about Dalman and his technique. I think technically he was about as clean as I've seen. He was really, really clean in run sets and pass sets. The thing that really, I think that part right there, the technical part of what he is comes from his pedigree. He's very, very clean in his pass sets. He just had to learn over time how to sit down and absorb the pass rush, from those big guys. I've seen several games. One that sticks out to me is a Philly game they were playing. Those are some big boys he had to deal with, man. But he sat down and absorbed on them, really, really well, man. I love, the more and more I look at the tape, the more and more I love to pick up. So I just said to myself, I was like, really, it's just going to be about them all getting together. And I said that in the video, expecting them to just get and turn into this Pro Bowl offensive line right away is probably a little ridiculous. But, it's just the fact that you have two Pro Bowlers on the side of you and you're the center and you're going to be the one pretty much manning all the communications and making sure everybody's moved around in the right place and knowing what to do on any given snap. This is a good situation to be in. You talking about Caleb Williams is set up to be really, he can stay clean on the interior of that offensive line. The sooner they get together and the more reps they get together. So I would say during the preseason, the training camp and the preseason, they're going to get to know each other. They're going to get a feel for each other. But I think given a couple of games into the season, I think they're going to have a solid feel for each other. And then I think you got something. But I just really, I'm high on it. The more and more I look at it on tape, I can just imagine that unit, that core part of it being really, really solid. The interior of the offensive line is going to help him keep clean during games and, slow down his processing a little bit so he can throw the ball on time. But let me get to the next guy, and that was Dayo. Dayo. Listen, the more and more I look at this guy on film, I'm telling you, they've got something else in mind with him. And I said this all offseason, man. Look at these guys with position versatility when it comes to D linemen, the guys that can move inside and outside that are big. All of that I just was adamant about. And now we see that's exactly what they covered. But on further inspection of Dayo, I think that they're going to probably use him on the interior more than they use him as an edge. Because you look at his tape close enough, one of the things that jumps out at you is his best work comes from the interior. Like you see some flashes on the outside from the edge, but definitely his best work comes from the interior. He's got a length advantage over the guards and the centers that are a little stubby. He's got a length advantage and he's a little quicker than those guys. And so it gives him a distinct advantage. And so to me, I'm saying to myself, okay, how does Zach Pickens, when this guy is going to be taking a lot of interior reps, and I think they're going to draft another edge too, a different kind of edge, somebody that's maybe the same similar body type, but more pass rusher than anything. I think they're going to do that because I'm telling you guys, look at him on tape, and I guarantee you'll notice that his best work comes from the interior. I'll just start there before I get carried away. Go ahead, FFG.
Yeah, Dayo. It's Odeyingbo. Odeyingbo.
Odeyingbo. That's right.
Odeyingbo or Odeyingbo. However they pronounce it in Africa. I'm not sure. I wasn't his mama, so I can't really tell you. And I didn't see everybody all over the line tear it up. So that's the way it reads to me, Odeyingbo. But this kid does have versatility in spades. The power, the length, and what we have in the two people that we picked up is motor is probably the number one thing I see with their already ability they have as pass rush or disruptors. So that's what I love about what we got. And I think you're 100% right, Nomad. I really think that we're going to get an edge rusher, and it's going to be more of a pure pass rusher because the way that Dennis Allen sets it up, he doesn't do just the 1 and the 3. He do 2 3s. He'll do 2 1s. He'll do whatever he needs to based on the package and based on the situation where they'll never know what's coming on every down. So we're going to have that quality rotation to be able to get in quarterbacks' heads, which we haven't had in a long time here as far as the defenses ran because people know we're running. And I really think this is an upgrade to have all this versatility going forward.
Yeah, it looks good. Dayo's game, he's, second contract, which I like, and he's still ascending. He's still developing. He hasn't grown into his own and developed on what his potential is yet. And I like that aspect of it. And it's also interesting to see that what's his name? Chase Young got signed by somebody yesterday.
Re-signed by the Saints.
Oh, they re-signed.
They gave him like $1 million more.
$51 million.
Gave him $1 million or $2 million more than they gave Dayo.
Yep.
And so it's interesting that was defensive coordinator Allen not pounding the table for Chase Young, or was he like, yeah, we can go ahead and get this Dayo kid, we good. So not to disparage Chase Young, but it reinforces the Dayo signing that, the defensive coordinator that worked with Chase Young was like, yeah, we good with Dayo going forward. And that's his, Cam Jordan physical specimen, size, weight, height kind of guy who has the versatility to say, hey, we're going to line you up at end, but we're going to run this stunt, or we're going to run this fake blitz package, and you're going to end up rushing from the middle, or we're going to line you up in the middle, and you're going to loop around or twist or, just do a straight up bull rush on the guard or the center because he's a big guy and he can do that. So the versatility positionally up and down the line, and now we're getting a little depth and redundancy, and now we're going to get some youth in the draft. So we'll have that defensive line that you can do those hockey changes with. And Dayo is a good candidate because of his tools to be, a creative aspect of Coach Allen's defense. And I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, to stay where you are, man. This is the difference between Chase Young and Dayo is there's only really one thing. Contractually, Dayo just cost a couple $1 million less. They pretty much got the same contract, just a couple $1 million that Chase Young got more. And he got to stay where he, I like I said the other day, he was looking for somewhere where he can settle down and just chill out. Got a 3-year contract just like Dayo did. Dayo just cost a couple $1 million less. Now the difference between the play ain't that much difference between those two guys. A couple of pounds here or there, but you look at they tried to work Chase Young and get him some of those interior tackle reps. He didn't look like he bought into it. Chase Young likes to play the edge and likes to be a pass rusher and set the edge, as opposed to Dayo, who really bought into the scheme down there in Indianapolis, and he took advantage of those opportunities that he had, at knowing that he had an advantage over some of those smaller, stubbier guards, and he really shot the gaps well, overpowered those guys to swim over moves because he's bigger and longer than him. He just kind of swiped over and swam over him and penetrated up the field. And so I'm sure that's what Dennis Allen's seen on tape. The fact that he can give you those edge rusher reps, powerful edge rusher that can really collapse a pocket. He can get around the corner a little bit with a little bend. But more importantly, his position versatility. That's the feature of Dayo. His position versatility, he bought into being slid into the interior and really played well there. That was the thing that really stuck out. I think he's going to take more D tackle reps here than he does anything. FFG?
I think our rotation is going to be superb going forward, especially if they can get a young stud pass rusher. So the rotation is always going to be a mixture of power, speed, and tenacity. And that's what I'm looking forward to. And you don't know where it's coming from because we're going to have multiple fronts that you can look at where the linebackers are coming, and they're going to get to play downhill for the first time in a while. And I think that is more important than anything else because we're going to put quarterbacks on their heels with the way these guys play and get in the backfield. It's that is probably the most dynamic portion of what I see that's going on here, that it's not going to be the same old Bears. And that's really what I wanted to see with the new coaching staff, bringing us a different dynamic to how we play the same game. You know, because I don't think much is going to change as far as the cover two, but the way it's being played is going to change dramatically.
Real quick before you go, Trip, let me put something up here. Nick Renberg says, Nomad, quick question. How would you feel about adding Kyle Juszczyk? That's the 49ers, longtime 49ers fullback to the team from San Fran. Veteran leadership, great run blocker. I saw a couple of guys. You know what, Nick? I'm glad you brought that up because I was definitely going to bring that up as a feature to the show. Here's the thing. I don't remember looking at a lot of Detroit film and seeing tight ends. I think what I saw more than anything, and now understand what I'm saying to you. He's not going to feature the same kind of offense he did in Detroit here. And so is fullback part of that, you know, the image that he wants to create here in Chicago? Could be, man, because I saw that Juszczyk, that definitely stuck out to me, Nick, when I saw that later on yesterday, or was it this morning? I don't know, but I saw it, and I was just like, man, you know what? That the antennas went straight up, man, and I was just like, could he change up what he's doing and try to feature a tight end in his offense instead of using not tight end, but a fullback in his offense instead of using tight ends as fullbacks? That's a good question because now that Juszczyk is out there, that's a guy to circle. But Patrick Ricard was out there, longtime Ravens fullback too, but I think he just got re-signed with them.
Yeah,
but yeah, absolutely, Nick. I think that definitely has my antennas up. He wants to change and not be the same as he was in Detroit. Could that feature a fullback in this offense? It could, man. And I was intrigued when I heard about it. Any takes on that?
Yeah, that was what I was looking at earlier today when they decided, because got mad that they had let him go. Their tight end right now for the Niners. He was kind of upset when they let Kyle Juszczyk go because he knew that was the dude that was blocking and allowing him to get open, you know, from the backfield or even offset. So I don't know what the Niners is doing. They letting people go left and right, you know. And so I think we're going to have our window is getting ready to open while theirs is closing, unless they do a hell of a quick, you know, rebuild on the fly, because that is a real prospect that we can look at for very little money that will allow us to have another blocker, another set of hands, and short yardage in the run game. So
Real quick, let me get to my guy Bears fan Goomba. That's my guy Nick that was here a couple of Sundays ago on Nomad at Night. He says, curious why we would be still doing cover 2 defense. Doesn't Allen run a different defense? Yes. Yes, yes, and yes. That is not a feature of his defensive strategies, man. He's a press man. That's his base. Press man coverage, get after it's not very complicated unless you're on the defensive line and you're adjusting to the formations. They might have to slide this way, that way. One might have to get wide out. It's just all kinds of things that they communicate when they see the formations of the offense. But the second half of the field, the linebackers and the secondary, it's pretty much you're going to get a cover 1 concept or a zero blitz concept where they're going to send everybody and there's going to be 2 or 3 guys left back in coverage and everybody's going to come and pressure the quarterback. Those are the features of Dennis Allen defense versus Flus, who is more cover 2, cover 3, play zone and sit back and bend and not break. Absolutely different scheme, man. Different schematics coming out of Dennis Allen. I've been saying that for quite some time, but it's worth talking about again. I don't care what you saw in Flus's defense. The only thing similar about Flus's defense to ours is probably the size of the players on the defensive front. Everything else is going to be totally different. You're going to be seeing guys flying. I mean, they are really going to lean into cover 1 defense and really press man instead of being in zones and leaving holes open. They're going to put a lot of pressure on the secondary to really cover up and play tight, sticky coverage. While those 4 try to get home and they send 5 at times, the linebackers will go on blitzes. The nickel, Kyler Gordon is the one that's going to eat in this defense. He's going to be everywhere playing. So yeah, it's going to be way different than what you saw out of Flus, man. Way, way different. But yeah, so anything else on that topic in particular, or can we move to something else?
I was going to say that, Juszczyk, he's cool and all, but this offense, does it really need a dedicated fullback? I would not want to sacrifice the big bruising, running back who has the same skill set of blocking and catching, but can still, get it done for short yardage, which there are those guys in the draft, instead of, having to pay for, this dude. And the tight end Kittle out there in San Fran, of course, he's upset because it's a teammate that he's going, but that's his boy, though, too. They real close, him and the wives. You know what I mean? I don't know if they that close like that. Get your minds out the gutter. I wasn't going there. I was just saying that they friendly. But, and San Fran, that's the natural attrition. That's the word I was looking for yesterday, attrition. As they get older and get more expensive, they got to flip it. And so that window is closing. Now they got to pay Purdy and they're not going to have the resources that they, have had these previous seasons to go all in. Give up all kinds of draft capital to make those trades. And then they don't pan out and you don't get a championship. And now people are wondering, why are we dismantling our team? It's like, yeah, because that iteration of your team is no more. So I don't really think that Juszczyk fits here. And I don't want to just bring him in just to bring him in and at the sacrifice of a younger player to, develop.
Yeah. I mean, he's an interesting piece, and it gets more interesting the more you try to imagine what Ben Johnson might try to formulate here. He's like 34 years old. He might have a couple years left in the season, but boy, I mean, in his career, boy, that dude's been through a lot of bumping and grinding. You know what I mean? And so we'll see, man. We'll see if they even think to feature. I know one thing. I think depending on how you structure your offense, I think a fullback can play an important role. Now, if you got the kind of tight ends that you think are versatile enough to really kind of flex in or out, inline tight end, outside tight end, lining up in the backfield, you think you got those types of tight ends on your roster, or you want to draft a guy like that, you can do that. And therefore they will leave you no need to go and get a fullback. But, you could be old school and say, you know what, this, I think about what the Ravens were doing to people. They were just straight up pounding people out of I formation sometimes. They were straight up pounding people. But, that's just one way to think about it. Let me talk about this really, and I don't know why I was so surprised when I looked at this. But I thought the Atlanta Falcons fan base, the reporters, they were going to be up in arms about losing their starting center. I thought that was going to be the talk of the day out of the Atlanta Falcons podcasters and reporters. You know what it was, and I should have known. They thought it was. I'm telling you, you turn on a Falcons podcast right now, any Falcons podcast, and it's going to look like a funeral. Why? Because Grady Jarrett's gone. I know how much of a dog Grady Jarrett is, but he just gets lost in the sauce when it comes to some of these premier D tackles that, you know, get a lot of shine on these teams that are doing a lot of winning. Atlanta, this guy's been around for a while. He's going to turn 32 this year. Like, I think about that championship game when they lost to you know, who was it? Was the Patriots? It was Tom Brady. I think it was the Patriots.
Yeah, they blew a 25-point lead.
That game, had they won that game, number one, Grady Jarrett would have won the MVP of that game, number one. Number two, he'd be looked at in a whole different light than he is looked at now, because he was just in the mired in mediocrity in Atlanta after that. And he's a great player. Now, if you want to compare anybody to the level of production that Aaron Donald put out, Grady Jarrett would be your guy. He's built just like him, made just like him. This dude is going to bring more to the table than we can even imagine. Like, the more I didn't know some of the stuff I knew about. Grady Jarrett's a great guy off the field. I know nobody really cares about that at this point, how great of a person he is off the field, but that is an important component. He's going to rally people. But what was more startling to me was how much of a leader he developed into as he was at Atlanta over the time. And just like, this dude is a workout warrior. He stays in the gym and he just brings people along with him. And so I think, you know, I don't really need to talk about how much of an impact, you know, Grady Jarrett is. Anybody that looks at the tape, that's one of the guys that you really don't need to be watching all 22 on. The highlights will kind of tell you all you need to know about Grady Jarrett. He's a boss. He's a little giant is what he is. And he had a catastrophic knee injury. I want to say catastrophic. He had a knee injury. He had to have surgery in 2023. He came back that following season, started every single game. And so when you think about it from that standpoint, you're not getting a guy that you're worried about is going to be nicked up. This guy I'm telling you, he's a little giant, and he sparks everything around. And so when you bring a guy like that and you put him in the locker room with some ascending defensive tackles that you're looking to take another step, this is the perfect kind of guy to put him in a room with. We were just talking on some extra sauce the other day. I mean, last week, talking about we didn't do enough to get some leadership in this room around the D tackle room, the offensive tackle room. We had DeMarcus Walker. He was good, but this guy's going to bring a different level to this locker room. I'm telling you guys, Grady Jarrett, the things that you don't see on film is the stuff that's going to really, if you dig into him a little bit more, he's just going to bring everybody with him. He's going to make if Zach Pickens stays on this roster, he's going to make Zach Pickens raise his level. Guarantee you that. It's going to move Javon Dexter even further. And so that, I'm telling you, this was a better pickup than people think. I'm telling you, Grady Jarrett is awesome, and I just found out a whole lot more about him that I didn't know.
Yeah, I think as far as the leadership quality, he's going to be outstanding. And his motor just don't stop. And for a guy who's got 10 years in the league, having one injury and coming right back and performing at the same high level, he just been on a bad team ever since, you know, Matt Ryan fell off a cliff. And they haven't had nobody to replace him. So the team hasn't won. But he's been wrecking shop this whole time. He's been in the backfield. He makes plays against everybody. There's no team in the league does not scheme to stop this guy. And if you think I'm crazy, go look at every single team out there, how they try to double team him, and he gets underneath. His pad level is awesome, where he just bull rushes and gets around, gets in between, and dominates. And he chases down quarterbacks. That's Justin Fields last year. He was like, where does this little dude come from? Because he was getting in the backfield. And that we know Justin Fields runs a 4.3, and he couldn't get away just because their pursuit, their defensive line was actually great. And he was the main cog. And so they're going to be lacking coming in this next season, where we get the benefit of all his knowledge, all his ability, and he can actually mentor a lot of the young guys that we have on this team, because we're going to draft another defensive tackle in this draft. And we got some guys who don't play as much that we've already re-signed. So he's going to be able to on-field coach up a lot of these different prospects that we have to be in that rotation. And so I'm looking forward to seeing how well they, mesh together, get their act together, and go out and just wreak havoc, because he's a disruptor. And that's all he's ever been in his whole career.
And, that's a beautiful thing to see that, you got the veteran presence of Jarrett, who's still productive and can require double teams or beat singles and beat doubles. But then, add that into Dayo, who is, like Nomad was saying, is the big guy who can beat singles and split doubles and, with the swims, whereas Jarrett is more underneath guy. So we're getting those different characteristics, but they are all talented, good football players that require double teams. And, you can only double team so many guys on the line. And if we have multiple players that require double teams, that's going to be, players that are able to beat their one-on-ones, which, really pushes and forces the issue when you're running, a man coverage. That's going to lead to more turnovers and more mistakes. So the plan is quite obvious of what they want to do on defense, knowing who the defensive coordinator is, knowing that Al Harris is back there, knowing our linebackers and defensive line coaches like to have their players get after it. And now we're filling this team with players that can get after it. And there's just a totally different vibe to the Flus era and all the hits bullshit. Whereas, this iteration of the team that Poles was putting together with the staff and the players looks much more professional. Looks like a much more cohesive team from top to bottom. And I want to see that, develop on the field.
I can tell you, a couple of little features that you notice watching. I still look at the film anyway, just to see if I'm, can add something else to the table, because most people can look at Grady Jarrett and, like I said, man, you don't need to look at all 22 and just, watch all of his reps like I normally would do, but I did it anyway. One of the things that does stick out about, you wouldn't imagine, Grady Jarrett, I know he's listed at about 6 foot 288. Grady Jarrett's more like 5'10", 280. That dude is, he's not long whatsoever. But when I tell you this, he's a bad little dude, I mean he's a bad little dude, guys. This little dude, he can play edge, man. And he took several reps effective. He was tearing it up at edge. And so we keep talking this same two words that I keep pounding the table about, position versatility. All of that comes into play when you're thinking about how Dennis Allen's trying to assemble this probably 8-9 man rotation that he's trying to set up. You need guys that can play multiple spots. And Grady Jarrett, surprisingly, I didn't think there was a chance in hell, guys, that I was going to see Grady Jarrett lining up out on the edge. But to my warm and comfortable surprise, not only did he play edge, he played the SHIT out of it, bro. I'm just telling you. That added to, I'm pretty sure, what they thought his value was. You could have made acquisitions for a bigger, somebody that's more prototype for a 4-3 defensive tackle. Instead, you could get a guy that you think can throw that change up on your defensive front and is multiple. That is probably the biggest surprise I've seen looking at all of these guys, other than the Dayo taking most of his reps on the interior and being more impressive there. But I think the fact that Grady Jarrett got a lot of edge rusher reps and was winning like an MF, dude, I'm telling you, he is going to make this line, that entire front, more dynamic. That gives options to what you can put on the field. You put that guy at an edge. Let's say you line up Dayo, Javon Dexter, and Montez Sweat on the other side of that. You know, that kind of stuff plays mind tricks on offensive linemen and coaches. Like, what do I do to defend that? I can't block that. Because if Grady Jarrett wins, it's over. He makes that quarterback move into the pocket, and he's sitting there looking at Dayo and he's looking at Javon Dexter, who can win one-on-ones by themselves. That is dynamics you want to have on your team. That versatility. I'm telling you, it was impressive.
I believe the front four combinations they're going to be able to dial up this year is going to be dynamic and impressive and disruptive as hell, not only in the running game, but quarterback's going to be running for their life. So the way we get to play that press coverage on the outside is going to limit a lot of the passing, that we've had. Like, people were killing us on third down and 3rd and 12 because they was sitting there and waiting for somebody to come open or a timing route. That ain't going to happen this year. And that's what I'm in love with, that they're going to have to move. They're going to have to make a decision. Offensive lineman is going to have to make, them kind of decisions where whether I'm getting beat or I'm, letting them go because I can't hold this cat. Or I got to try to help out on this dude because he's already getting beat. So, yeah, we're going to be in people's heads this year. And that's where I think the benefit of Dennis Allen is going to regenerate that aggressive nature in all the Bears defensive linemen going forward. That's going to make that pressure rate go sky high. Because we don't always got to get to quarterback, but we can change the dynamic of the plays and really kill in the backfield, because Dayo, that's his specialty. He get in the backfield and he shuts stuff down. Same thing with Grady Jarrett, shutting it down. Javon takes a couple pages out of a book, he going to be that way. He's going to learn that you need to be ultra aggressive constantly to make an impact. And I think that is where we're going to succeed more than we ever have. And look at the chat. It's blowing up. We got a lot of people in here today. Go ahead, Trips.
Yes, I'm just looking forward to seeing if Zach Pickens can glean some of the teachings and develop into, what his expectations are. And the other thing I was going to mention was that whoever we do bring in the draft, now, whether at D tackle, edge, or both, don't have to be, relied upon to come in and be a game record game changer. Now they can, ease into the role, learn, and so that reduces the pressure on them. So yeah, it's coming together nicely. The contract ain't bad. The on field play previously has been very good. So let's bring it all together, baby. Let's fucking go.
All right. We're going to try to keep it a little bit clean. This is a daytime show. We're going to try to keep it. We're going to save all that for the mob. But we got a Barrelissimo. I'm glad you came in here and reminded us about them clips. I'm going to go to Twitter. I'm going to try to share my screen right quick. Let me see. Barrelissimo had a couple of Dayo clips over there. I seen one. Let me see what we got. Can you guys see this? You guys see this?
Yeah. It's a little small, but go ahead.
All right. That's about as big as I
That's
can
what she
do.
said.
This is I ain't gonna turn the volume on. He's showing Dayo, who's on the interior, over the nose tackle. Boom. Look, you see it? That's what I mean when I say thank you for this one, Barrelissimo, because I haven't looked at his Vanderbilt stuff yet. I've been looking at his coach stuff so far, but I'm gonna take more of a look at that's him right on the interior, right over
number 10.
A nose guard. I mean, over a dang on center, man.
Number 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right over a center.
Shit, he got power, he got speed, he's relentless.
A nice spin move, too.
I can watch this clip all damn day.
And one for the running back, it was lights out for that quarterback.
Hey, take his legs. He still got it and was like, come on.
Right, that's what I'm saying. He'd still be in the hospital.
Let's see what he's got on this part. Let me see. Where is he at here? He's 54 on this one. Oh, he got picked up that fumble here. I saw this clip a few times. Picks up the fumble, takes it all the way to the house. It's like Montez Sweat, but Montez Sweat with this is him. Boom.
Nice split.
I'm gonna look at that again. It looks like he took that rep from the interior too. That might have been a 3-tech rep, but it might have been an edge. Let me see. But the big boy can move though, man, and he's versatile. Let me see where he's at. Yeah, I think that might have been I don't know. That might have been an edge rep. I don't know. This angle don't really show you. Yeah, he's on the edge on this one.
Yeah, he's just throwing these little dudes around like rag dolls.
Yeah, he's off the edge there.
But that's power and strength that he's going to bring to the table.
Is that the only two Barrelissimo, is that the only two you got?
He said, let's see, you can go full screen on the video if you want.
Nah, you can't hear. I gotta get out of here. I don't want to get. Anyway, that gives you a good little idea of what he brings to the table. Thank you for that one, Barrelissimo. But man, like I'm telling you guys, like the interior reps are the ones that impress me the most. The interior reps, the reps he took on the inside makes him, to me, a more dynamic football player, a little bit more than Chase Young. And I hate to say that because I love me some Chase Young. But this guy's going to be more multiple. You can look at that. When you got an edge rusher that's lined up over a nose tackle, that is college, and I grant that. But I've seen a little bit of that, some little inside techniques he ran over in Indianapolis. They saw that on tape and let him do it there too. So this guy is probably a little more valuable than we all know as fans right now. It might be a lot more valuable than we think.
He could be the steal of the free agency. If he develops under Dennis Allen, we just don't know how well he's going to perform in this Bears lineup, because now we got some dogs, and that's what I think everybody needed, was somebody next to them that was also a dog. And that's what they've been trying to build here for the last 3-4 years, where we used to have it with, Akeem Hicks and, we had Khalil Mack, and we had from Florida State that retired.
Goldman.
Yeah, Eddie Goldman. Right. But I mean, we had a real team. And then we what's old boy's name? They get 16 sacks one season and 2 sacks the next season. Came over from Philly.
Anderson? Oh, what the hell was his name?
But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
he set the single season Bears sack record. The next season he had 1 sack.
Yeah,
but, I mean, we had a complete defensive line at that time.
What was that dude's name, chat? That's how.
Who we talking about? I was reading the chat. What y'all talking about?
Dude that had 16 sacks and then 2 sacks.
You talking about the guy from Philadelphia who we were brung over?
We traded,
and we paid him all that money.
Oh, you talking about big damn, what is it?
Right.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I can't think of his name right now. He retired now. Quinn. That's right.
Quinn.
Yeah. Robert Quinn. Right. Robert Quinn. We had that line. People was afraid of the Bears. I think we building that again. And so
how about
I'm
this?
really looking forward to the future for the first time on defense up front than I have in forever.
How about this, man? We're gonna have time to talk about all this. Hey, shout out to PJ, Jason, Real Bears fan, Flex Diggs that just popped up in here, Barrelissimo, all you guys that just popped up in here, man. It's 280 people in the chat, man. Everybody, please do us a favor and hit the like button. Anybody that wants to chat and cannot chat, all you have to do is go and hit the subscribe button and come on in. You can chat with the fam, man. The community will welcome you, man. So everybody, you welcome on in. Let's move it on, man, because first of all, let's take a look and see what's happening lately in free agency. Let's take a look at that.
Barrelissimo said he just tweeted you the thread that he's talking about where he did the clips of all 22.
Okay, I'll go back.
If you click on the actual screen, you can expand it so you don't see the whole Twitter thing.
Okay, we'll go back to it, but let's get here before we do all that kind of stuff. Let's go here.
Zay Jones back with the Cardinals.
Zay Jones.
Johnson 3-year deal.
What up, Ding?
slow down, brother. Let me get to it. I know you see everything we see. And Zay Jones went to the Cardinals for a 1-year deal. Cardinals will bring back Zay Jones, blah, blah, blah. Tight end Juwan Johnson re-signed with the Saints. We're just going to go through some stuff that's happened since we wasn't on air. Not notable to me. Let me see. Puka Nacua changes number to 12. Who cares? Ravens signed that fullback we were talking about earlier, Patrick Ricard, re-signed him for let me see. Doesn't really say.
It doesn't say.
Yeah. Jack Nelson, linebacker back. Let me see. Oh, Darrington Evans is no longer a Bear. He's been going back between us and Buffalo for the last 3 years. And so he's back with Buffalo. They scooped him up because the Bears didn't move on him. And so I always like Darrington Evans, man. Russ ain't got no team yet.
Turpin, highest paid.
Slow down, man. We getting to it. Let me see. Leonard Floyd. That's the one we need to talk about. That's the one. That's what I was looking for. Here we go. So, Leonard Floyd, cut by the 49ers. What do you guys think about that? What do you guys think about that? What do you think about the addition of Leonard Floyd? Now, he does bring you that he's kind of like pure pass rusher. You got big edge rushers that can really firm up your edge with power. He's a pure pass rusher. You know, we was okay with the idea of Khalil Mack coming back to the roster and coming back to the team. How do we feel about picking up Leonard Floyd? Leonard Floyd is probably playing his best football that I've ever seen him in these last few years. Ever since the Super Bowl in L.A., I think I've seen the best version of Leonard Floyd I've ever seen, and it's not stopped since that Super Bowl.
At this point, we can draft a Leonard Floyd, so I wouldn't pay him. You know, he's probably want to go to contender anyway, so I'll let him try to get his little money and try to play for a championship again. But for what he brings to the Bears, especially as a rotational player, I'd rather pay a rookie next to nothing and develop them into Leonard Floyd, what he is now.
Yeah, I concur with that. Floyd's gonna, be 15 or however much money he is. It really doesn't matter because he's not ascending. He's good. He's okay, but he's also not anything that we would want going forward, future wise, because he's just too old. So let's go with the youth and, develop someone and let him go wherever he's going.
Here you go. Trip's a old man. He's an old person racist.
Hey, y'all was comfortable with Mack. I was never comfortable with Mack.
Leonard Floyd ain't old, man. What the hell is wrong with you? Hey, Leonard Floyd is not old, but
he's 33.
That dude, have you seen
how
him
old is he?
play? All you have to do is turn on the tape. Have you seen him play?
Well, how old is he?
I think he's 33, getting ready to turn 34. Like
that's old. That's old.
Man, please. Y'all tripping.
But you can get a kid that's 21, 22
we
for
can
nothing and make him into Leonard Floyd because he took him 6 or 7 years to be that.
Hey, man, listen, it's just an idea.
Yeah, no, thank you.
I just said no. I'm pass.
Yeah, no, pass.
Right, left.
I would love to see that guy come back to this roster because he's to me. Now, here's the thing. Here I get to thinking about it. I thought about it this morning when I saw it. No, not this morning, but not a couple of hours ago. I was just thinking, what is that? Because we got some pure pass rushers on the team. I look at Daniel Hardy as that. I'm looking at quasi Austin Booker as that. You know what I mean? But it wouldn't hurt, to just the thought of it. If they actually made the move, y'all ain't gonna sit here and tell me y'all be upset about that.
Yeah, I would.
Well, I mean, if that was the case, why not bring back Darryl Taylor? Somebody who's younger, costs less, and production is there when he plays. I know he was hurt a lot last year, but when you can get this kind of rookie class of edge rusher to develop, especially if Montez Sweat goes down like last year, we was really in trouble the games he was hurt. So why not have somebody that we could put on that side to back him up and to really keep that rotation humming?
It was a thought. Here's
because remember the cost of these players. And we want to develop those guys so we don't have to, go on free agency to pay them like that. We want to pay in-house. So let's start from the ground with a rookie on a rookie deal and let them develop from there, as opposed to going out and giving, 10, 15 million to Floyd. Now, next year is like, well, who do we draft or who do we sign now? Let's start answering some of those young guy questions now instead of bringing in, older guys that are going to take up that roster spot.
Okay. I understand it. Let me get to something. Where did it go, Barlissimo? He put up, I'll just say it.
Larry Borum got signed to the Dolphins.
Larry Borum is now a Dolphin. Now,
part of the reason
what's that?
I said, good luck with that, Tua.
Yeah. I don't know what they're bringing in him, and he's probably going to swing at either guard or tackle. We didn't get to see a good amount of Larry Borum at guard, which is something I think we just got into a humbug with our defensive injuries, man. And he ended up having to be. I'm pretty sure they want to see him at guard. I'm betting all kinds of money that's how the Dolphins are viewing him, as a guard, and they're going to give him a shot at doing that. Here's the thing, though. This is the reason why we're doing the show today, because I knew that was going to happen, and we're going to be kind of depleted. Like, we're going to look at in a second. We're going to look at the depth chart and what we have right now currently. And part of the reason why we're doing the show today, because there might be a move to bolster the depth on the offensive line here. So what do you guys think about, number one? We already know how you guys feel about Larry Borum. Y'all didn't think too much of him anyway, so we ain't got to go there. But what do you guys think about the depth right now on the offensive line? We got some good front end pieces, but the depth behind it, I know we're going to draft, but you still need to bolster up the roster. You're only going to be able to draft so many guys.
Well, I think they made a good start by bringing back Bill Murray to keep developing him. And now with Roshar, that's going to probably be able to help him ascend. Matt Pryor is a guy that I would definitely bring back. And we're actually going to see what Karam Amagaji has, So if you look at that way, we probably have a good 7-man rotation now, 7 to 8, with those people and with those players we just mentioned. But now you need to make it at least a 10-man rotation, or at least opportunity to be a 10 or 11-man rotation, depends on who gets hurt during the season, because we know the history of the Bears, nobody lasts all 17 games. Now that they're playing more games, it's really hard. Buffalo is the only team I know to keep starting everybody every game, every season. It's the only team. So I think that is where we start, and we don't know who's still going to be available in a week or two, where we can shore up some of those other positions, maybe a swing tackle, but I would definitely pick up a guard and a tackle in the draft to learn behind these greats that we already have in case they go down.
Okay. Trip, what's your thought?
I would like to draft at least 3 offensive linemen. One who is a natural tackle, and 2 who are guard / center, to have that youth being developed behind, these veteran presences, where I'm not opposed to like a veteran like Pryor, but he is who he is, and he's all right, but he's not a future. And if we're going to capitalize on the experience of Thuney and Jackson and have them pass along that knowledge, we need young guys in the building for them to do that with. But young guys who are decent enough and good enough already that if we need them to play, they can. And it won't be, a big detrimental drop-off. So not, first, second round, maybe guys, maybe tackle, but, mid-round guys who can develop into actual decent starters once, Thuney retires and it's time for them to step up.
So what I got on the screen real quick, let me take the comments down for a second and hold on for a second. All right, now let me get over here. This is our lads, and they have a more updated version of the roster, and they update their stuff more quicker than ESPN. And so this is where I went. And so here we got here's your starters on offense. DJ Moore, Romo Dunze, Keenan Allen, Braxton Jones, Joe Tooney, Drew Dalman, Jonah Jackson, Darnell Wright. You gotta mute your phone, bro. I mean, you mute your sound. Darnell Wright, Cole Kmet, Caleb Williams, and DeAndre Swift. Here's why I see. Here's the behind them is like that. There's Colin Johnson behind DJ Moore. To me, I circle that as a situation. Tyler Scott behind Romo Dunze. Circle that as a situation. Keenan Allen is still on the roster. I don't know why. That's a situation. Kieran Amagaji as pretty much a swing tackle. Let me see. Jake Kieran or Kieran Amagaji as a swing tackle. Tevin Jenkins, who's no longer there, that elevates Bill Murray. Shelton Coleman Shelton's gone. Doug Kramer is more than likely not going to be re-signed. And so you got a Ricky Stromberg is who you don't see on here. You got that problem. You got one guy behind Darnell Wright listed as a right tackle. That's what I see as a problem, man. I think there are players that's out there that are going to end up on this roster, and I think it's going to be a little bit more depth in the trenches. We don't have enough draft picks to really fortify the interior of the offensive line. We might draft a tackle. We might draft a guard or two. Is that enough to really fortify your depth? You still need more players in free agency. That's why we're doing the show today. FFG?
You muted?
Yeah, what I'm looking at here is you're absolutely right, because if you look at what's considered the backups, almost all of these people none of them signed. And Keenan Allen ain't signed. Jake Kieran, Pryor, Shelton gone for sure. Tevin Jenkins, we're probably not going to pay him just due to health concerns. So really, Bill Murray is the only backup that you have. That's why I thought Matt Pryor should be a priority, because he can play right tackle. And that's where he actually excels at, being able to have that position versatility. So that's why when you go in the draft, even though Ricky Stromberg's not on here, because Doug Kramer probably won't be re-signed, his money is no longer available anyway. So we can let him go, but you're going to sign a center guard combo or a straight center. You're going to sign definitely another guard, and you're going to have to sign a tackle or draft one, in free agency. You're also probably going to have to fill this number 3 wide receiver slot. And now that we have some flexibility, Savion Williams could be that dude. Or, the cat from Maryland who's got breakaway speed. But we're also going to need somebody who can return kicks. And that's where we're really lacking. We don't have a kick or punt returner that's guaranteed on this team. And so who are we signing at that position is going to have to be a special player. And then we're probably going to have to sign another tight end, or hopefully we can trade down and get more draft picks like we've all been doing in all these mocks to have the flexibility to fill up a lot of these spots for backups.
Okay. Well, Bates is also still under contract, isn't he?
No, Bates ain't. Well, technically, I guess he is.
He's still on the roster.
We don't owe him any money.
Well, but he's still on the contract, so he's still on the roster.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. So I would not want to, sign second and third tier veteran offensive linemen. I want those guys in the draft. And looking at where we're at 10, there is no clear, concise, prospect to take at that position, at that, picking position. So let's go ahead and trade back. It's like, well, we should get Genty if he's there, or Membo, or Campbell. It's like, yeah, no. We need depth. We need talented youth depth that will learn from these veterans that we just invested in. It's a waste of that investment to bring in just second tier, third string veteran guys for depth that aren't going to be here going forward to provide us any benefit. Let's capitalize on what we have with the cap situation. There's not a whole lot there. So we need those rookie contracts. We need the talent to drip, to learn, we need the youth on this team to go forward. So we got to hit that in the draft, and that's a trade back from the 10th spot. So we can address, whether it be tight end, wide receiver, kick returner, more defensive line and offensive line help, and a running back. Just look at the laundry list or the shopping list of the positions that we got to fill. We don't have that many draft picks, and we don't have that much money in free agency to do both. So you got to turn to the draft for that.
Yeah. Look, man, somebody, I think it was this Crimson You Dig, asked me, what do we have on left in the salary cap for right now? And this, I'm looking at Over the Cap. That's a website. And I don't know how accurate this is. I'm just going to read what it says. And I haven't done the math myself personally. This is what it says. We are sitting with about 42 million left over for cap. And you can consider about 10.5 of it already allocated to whoever the UDFAs are or whoever the rookies are that come onto the roster. They'll have to sign. It's going to be about 10.5. You might as well subtract 10 from that right now, at least. And so you're looking at about 32 million, if this is correct. And so that's what we got, man. Now, here's one other thing that I want to mention about the roster and what they're doing right now in free agency and why they're so quiet. There was noise around the fan base talking about we still got the money to go get Trey Hendrickson. And I don't know what I thought about that, but I know that's a possibility. You know what I mean? There's always a possibility. How high of a probability it is, I don't know. You know what I mean? But that's out there. Is the reason why they're quiet? Is it because they're trying to contemplate? Are they trying to let this free agent period come to them, or are they quietly trying to make something happen? Which one do y'all think?
Well, I think a lot of it is what they're going to allocate towards the money they've already spent. And I think a lot of it's going to come in signing bonuses. So Dalman, Jarrett, Dayo, they all going to get huge amount of money up front because the way they structure the contracts is that we give them humongous signing bonuses, basically what they're going to make this year, that we don't owe them hardly nothing, and they get their base salary next year. And after that, we don't owe them nothing. And that's why the draft is going to be so special. Now, if they're going to overload with, because the only way I see this happening is what they've been going after on TV, at least, and what I've been seeing in these different chat rooms, is that nobody wanted to offer a first-round draft pick. Most people don't even want to offer a second-round draft pick for Hendrickson. But if we could trade that first and just trade down and maybe pick up a fifth in that deal, we could pick up an extra draft pick, still have the 17th pick in the draft, and have our starting defensive end, who's the pass rusher we've been looking for. So then we have an excellent rotation going forward. But I'm not sure if we want to spend that kind of money because he's got 1 year left on his deal, just like the two offensive linemen that we have. So that's why I'd rather us wait and see, get that little money shored up after tomorrow, and then know exactly how much money we have, because they may be in the process of restructuring as well, like DJ Moore's contract or Montez Sweat's contract at this point. People they know they're going to be there, so they can actually have more money if they want to go out and acquire, Reed from Kansas City, if they're trying to shore up another position.
I'm trying to figure out where you're going, because I was just asking, simply, are they quiet because you think they're working on something big, or do you think they're just trying to let free agency come to you?
What I'm looking at is tomorrow is the day that they have to finalize these contracts. So they're probably thinking about, let's wait and see how much we can allocate money-wise towards these big contracts we just signed. And now if there's somebody that's still available that we want to go after, now we have the money to go after them.
Go ahead, Trips.
Yeah, it seems like they're just, chilling now, seeing where the market goes, who's available, who does what, who overpays, who doesn't. And if the offers for Hendrickson keep dropping because no one's biting at the high compensation, and they're really that serious about trading him, I'm sure Poles can come up with something creative to get him. But then, like FFG was saying, he's going to want $30 million a season, possibly. We could make it happen with some restructures here, there, blah, blah, blah. But then now you're putting yourself into a hole because you are allocating so many resources, draft and cap, toward that one dude, where that can be spread out to satisfy several other positions. So they could I think they are laying back and wait. But if that price drops to where it's now, I think they started asking for like a first and a third or something. And now they're like, well, nobody was offering that. So how about a second?
Right.
If nobody was offering that, it's like, hey, look, man, go ahead and take this fourth and shut up. You know what I mean? And be happy with it. Now, if he could get something like that, then it's like, all right, let's make this cap situation work because we didn't have to give up that much in, draft capital. So if they can work out something like that, I wouldn't be opposed to it, but it's not something I think that they are, have on the front burner as like, well, how do we get this done? It's more of a, well, if it gets down to this price, this is how we could get that done.
So I think what it came down to answer my own question is, what do they see in the draft? What do they see in free agency? What can we do in free agency to kind of set us up for the draft? And this is in response to my own question about why no news, any ideas about, going after Trey Hendrickson? Are they quiet because they're trying to get a deal done? I'm answering my own question. And I think they evaluated both the draft and free agency, saw the opportunity to get Dayo, a person that's versatile and can give you some of what Trey Hendrickson brings to the table, plus more. And we see a guy in the draft that we really, really covet and we really feel like could be available to us somewhere. We see a few guys that we think that we really, really covet. And, one or two of them might be early and might be 2 or 3 of them that are later round picks, but they see opportunity and they didn't feel a need to go after Trey Hendrickson. That could be the truth. They could quietly actually be going after Trey Hendrickson. I seriously doubt it because of what everything that everybody said so far. I'm just putting a little icing on it right now. I think they evaluated both, and it's just like the draft is too rich, full of them, and we see an opportunity in free agency to really kind of bolster the situation. That's what I think you're seeing playing out, and I think they're letting the rest of free agency come to them, which is why there's been no news. I still think there's several 2 or 3, maybe later round, maybe day 3 guys to go pick up to kind of fill out your roster. I think on the offensive line might be a safety, might be a couple of defensive linemen. I don't know, but I think the offensive line room, the depth in that room kind of alarms me a little bit, but I'm sure they got a plan for it. And so I think they're just letting, the market kind of dictate what they should do right now. And it's nothing. And so I don't think they're done yet. I 100% don't think they're done. But let's go take a look at, the latest news in free agency, see if anything's happening. Might be some stuff going on. We don't know about it. Let me see.
Not yet.
Let's see. What we got? Okay.
Mike Hughes, corner.
Hold on. And you love jumping the gun, don't you, man? Hold on. Let me see. We mentioned Zay Jones, I believe. That's not the Mike Brown you guys thinking about.
No. He'd be like 45, 50.
Yeah, so Mike Hughes, a corner. He's off the board, headed back to the Falcons. I think he's a nice corner, but nothing so far with the Bears. And we're going to hang around for a little while just to see if something shakes. I still think something could happen today. I really do. Or it's really no reason to be doing this podcast. But I really do think something could happen today. and they're just waiting to see. I'm sure they're negotiating some stuff right now. Triple R, what you think?
Yeah, they're always looking to improve the team. So if there's let's look at it this way. Dayo is probably somebody that Ryan Poles has liked since he was a rookie or, a prospect. Because I'm sure he, reviewed all of his stats, his tape, and was like, yeah, I like him as a player. And when he's available now in free agency and he's a scheme fit for the new defensive coordinator, Poles was like, yeah, I already did my research on this kid. I like him. I like where he's progressed to, and we can develop him more. So any opportunity to improve the team, I do believe he's going to look at that. And if it's just not feasible, he's not going to, overreact or jump at something that will, handicap the club cap-wise or draft salary-wise going forward. So any smart and prudent signings of somebody that's available, or don't forget about guys that aren't cut yet, that will be because of cap reasons. It's like, oh, this guy's available. Didn't see that coming. Like with Jarrett, they were able to jump right on him. So it could be lying in wait for those situations as well.
All right, so I'm going to take a quick little swerve. What I just pulled up on the screen are the players that are still available. And right there at the top, you see Stefan Diggs, you see Joey Bosa, you see Keenan Allen, you see Amari Cooper, Von Miller. I thought I seen earlier today that Von Miller went to the damn Ravens. I don't know. I might have been looking at something else. Brandon Cooks is out there. Deontay Johnson, Cam Robinson, offensive tackle. Draymond Jones is an interesting name, but I know he's going to cost a little bit more money. He's a quicker, twitchier, three-tech kind of guy. It kind of got lost in the sauce in Denver. Let me see. Brandon Sheriff's a guy. I thought Evan Ingram got picked up, but I guess he did not.
I heard that San Fran got rid of Floyd because they were trying to do a deal with Bosa.
Really? Where you hear that
at? Twitter.
Was it a qualified source or just
somebody? Yeah, it wasn't like speculation. It was more like, hey, they're letting Floyd go, and they were in works to bring the brothers together, the Bosa boys.
So let's just talk about the first guy on the board. I already know how y'all minds are bent, but Stefan Diggs is coming off a knee injury. Probably is not going to cost you too much right now, and I don't know. I know we need that third receiver slot filled out. We're going to probably move off of Keenan Allen. I think there's an outside chance he makes it back on this roster, but I don't think so. This is why I think a lot of GMs are kind of letting free agency come to them at this point, unless you have this particular need that you got to get a certain caliber player in your building. I think they did that in the first day of the offseason. So this is why they're quiet right now. But Stefan Diggs, I'm always high on Stefan Diggs. I like he's a dog football player. But he's out there. What do you guys think?
Yeah, he's out there, all
right. Right. But if you notice, what's the most impactful position that's on this at the top of the list and the money they want?
I'm just asking about Diggs, man.
Oh, Diggs but he's actually falling in line with they want too much money. The wide receiver market got killed by Christian Kirk, and now these older guys really think they should get paid. And so Stefan Diggs wouldn't help coming off an injury. We can get a rookie to be able to be him.
All right. Well,
yeah, I'll keep it short and sweet. Yeah, I'm good. No, thanks.
Joey Bosa.
Nope.
I'm good. No, thanks. Go ahead.
All right, who was that? How would you feel? How would y'all really feel about bringing Keenan back on a reduced contract?
Why?
How reduced?
No. He could pay to play.
Yeah.
And it's like, why? Because he's gonna go down with his injury. Then he's gonna have his drops, and then he's gonna make a few nice catches, and then he's gonna be old still and gone. So what? No. And the relationship between built the relationship and developed that they started at the end of last season. No. Let's get that relationship going with DJ, Rome, Tyler Scott or whoever they bring in rookie wise.
Jacob Jacob on the Don is asked. He said, "No matter if we lose Keenan, we gain a 4th round pick. Don't forget that," he says. And we were just talking about this the other night, and I will fall on the sword right now. I'm a much better Chicago Bears podcaster talking about football than I am doing as a producer and director and trying to get information and being ready. I'm much better at that than I am. I should have known that by now. I don't know the truth, and if Keenan Allen is picked up by somebody, what kind of compensation we got. We had a back and forth about that. I just don't know. I don't know, but it's some kind of compensation associated if Keenan Allen is picked up by a team.
Well, there's the technical aspects of if there it's something to do with the how much you spend and cap, how much he makes, and how all that's comparative or relative. There's some kind of formulation for it that I'm not sure what it is because math, but it's not just if he signs with someone that is like off the rip, is up 4th round pick to the Bears for 2026. I think it's got to do with the compensation, how much we paid for him, how much we've spent. So there's a formula to it.
Okay, so I'm gonna take Crimson at his word. I know people. I believe he did his research and he knows what he's talking about. He's talking about a 2026 4th. That makes sense to me. You know what I mean? But talking about Keenan Allen if he got signed. But let's not get stuck there. Let me get back into that screen and look at some more of these guys. Let me see if some names really jump out to me. This is the rich part of free agency. These guys at the very top of this. You're talking about from Stefan Diggs all the way down to Cam Robinson, Draymond Jones in that area. Maybe even you might want to throw Matt Judon in that conversation. Maybe even Zadarius Smith. But let's start at Cam Robinson and me just not being very comfortable. And I feel like we're going to draft a tackle. I'm almost certain of that. But having a vet in there to bring these young tackles along to me, just to me, I don't know how you guys feel about it. But to me, that's a lot of value. Number one, you're gonna challenge Braxton Jones for a starting spot. You're gonna push his level. Number one. Number two, it's gonna add value to the room when you bring on the rookie that you're gonna draft, and he's gonna get valuable experience, valuable know-how from a guy that knows the tricks of the trade. I happen to believe that Cam Robinson or maybe another tackle, Terran Armstead, if he's out there. I don't know if he's out there or not, but if he is. Those are the kinds of guys that I would love to see brought onto this roster because I think the value that it brings and being able to teach these guys and help them along, I think that has no real price value to it.
Well, didn't Robinson suck at the Vikings though last year?
No, I wouldn't say that. No, I saw some of that stuff. I didn't think so. He had his struggles, ups and downs. He got brought over there like in the middle of the season. They just plugged him and started playing him, and he had to learn everything on the fly. But I thought he played well for somebody that just got dropped into a damn fire pit. Yeah. Let me see. Real Bears fans, Chris wants me to click on wide receivers. I'll do that for you. Give me 1 second, and we'll come back to the whole list. Let me click on this for him.
What do you think, while he's clicking, what do you think about the Robinson thing, FFG, before we move on to wide receivers?
Well, what I really think is it's beneficial, yes. But the price tag, the problem is the market is drastically changed when these guys were getting these contracts. So if they're willing to do team-friendly deals to try to, produce a winner, because they've been getting paid on these other teams. So if they're willing to take a team-friendly deal, $4 or $5 million, I'm with it. But I'm not paying nobody $17, $18 million to play one season to teach a couple guys how to play when I got an all-star.
We're not asking you. We're not asking you what you would do. We know. I'm pretty sure about what you would do. We're more interested in what you think they might be thinking.
Well, how would they justify signing, let's say, any veteran, whoever it is, for $4 or $5 million, however much, to a spot and then draft somebody? There are only so many roster spots.
If you get, let's say you can get him here on a very, like on a 1 year deal, let's say on a 1 year deal and give him a nice chunk of change for 1 year. And really that's all you're looking for is time for whoever you think Braxton Jones is his competition is going to be. They're going to draft a tackle, and I think it's going to be left tackle, no question about it. How long do you expect to put this guy on the field? How long do you think it'll be before? I heard Ryan Poles talking about Kieran Amagaji, and it sounded to me like they want to run him at guard. And so I think you can not to say that they won't let him get into that competition to challenge Braxton Jones for that left tackle, but I think they're more leaning. Just listen to Ryan Poles talk towards moving him to guard, and that's why I'm here talking about the free agency market and the possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
And so, all right, we got the receivers up. You see that Stefan Diggs, Keenan Allen right at the top, Amari Cooper, Brandon Cooks, Deontay Johnson, Tyler Lockett, DeAndre Hopkins, Mike Williams, Robert Woods, Josh Reynolds is a guy I might circle if I was anybody. KJ Osborne is an interesting guy because he can block. Let me see. The guy that probably Tim Patrick on this list now that what's his name? Mack Hollins is off the board.
Oh.
Mack Hollins went to I think New England. I think they scooped him up. And so like the better blocking receiver, I think they're looking for a certain type. You're looking for a third receiver. What would they be looking for? Are they looking for a slot guy? Or are they looking for a particular kind of blocking receiver? That's the question I would have about this group here. FFG?
I think they're looking probably more towards youth because they're going to let Randall L develop because he was an excellent blocker. So I think they're going to rely more on the coaching staff with a lot of these people in free agency that they're probably not going to want to pay when I can develop a guy into being what I want him to be and how he needs to perform on this team.
And the only one that I could really see being an option would be Patrick because of the familiarity with Johnson and Randall L. But, we can get a Patrick in the draft. So I would think that they would go with the youth movement more than, trying to reclaim or retread one of these available guys.
I am very interested, though, in reality about what they think of Tyler Scott. And personally, I looked at the combine visits to give me a glean into what they might be thinking. And I only saw one, and I didn't see the full list. I seen when they were must have been about 32, 36 guys they interviewed. And the only true like X or Z receiver that they had in for an interview was Jack Best from TCU. He's a bigger guy, probably about 215, 262, 215. He's an X or a Y. Not to say that he couldn't work out at slot. I think he could. But they did bring in other just pure slot receivers. One was Xavier Restrepo from Miami, and the other one was Kyle Williams from Washington State. And so that was, to me, a glean. That's like little writing on the wall that they're targeting a slot receiver. And it begs me to want to ponder about what they think about Tyler Scott. Tyler Scott, man, I look at his film, man, and all I saw was straight line speed and a guy that can take the top off of a defense. That was obvious. Anybody that watched him, you could see that plain and clear. What you didn't see is his work and be able to work the route tree and really work, the middle of defenses where they're weak, right? You don't see any of that on tape, not even in college. You definitely didn't see a whole lot of it while he was here. He had inconsistencies with his hands and all that kind of stuff that kind of put him in a doghouse under the Flus regime. I'm just curious, given all I just said, FFG, this new regime, do you think he still has – you think they still see him as a guy that can really work?
I really think that they're going to give him another opportunity because I don't think they want to waste a fourth-round draft pick. And I think they're going to give Randall L a chance to work with him, especially on his hands and his route tree. And I think that they can really make him a kick returner with that speed and the maneuverability he has. He came up playing running back in high school before he was in college. So he's got the moves. So let's see what they do. And then I think they're going to draft a wide receiver to play that slot, or they're going to move DJ inside and get a big, strong, fast like Savion Williams on the outside.
Yeah, just before getting to Scott, I would say a guy like you were saying, Bess or Savion Williams, bring in one of those guys move DJ the Beast to slot and let him just eat wherever he wants to there, because I believe he would be quite good at that. But as far as Scott goes, at the end of last season, he was returning, kicks and punts, but he never really got on the field at wide receiver after, he didn't. Was that the first or second game, and then we didn't see him anymore. So it wasn't like we could look and see that he has developed or was being developed, because we didn't see him until he started at the end of the season on special teams. And then I was like, okay, he's got some juice, he's got some wiggle. When he is on the field on special teams, he's putting his nose in there. He's not afraid to, try to make a block or what have you. So he's a young football player who has not been developed, Flus regime. So I wouldn't just write him off. We just don't know what he has yet. And it was kicks, not punts, right on OKC.
Yeah. Like I said, man, it's I do think my mind leans towards they're going to draft a slot. And the third receiver, as far as that blocker that they're looking for, is somewhere on this list. That's what I think. I think there's a guy on this list, and another name that sticks out is Juju. Now he's known for being he will commit to the blocking game, and he'll that's kind of how he's made his money. He's been a reliable guy. He's big, he's tough, and he can catch the ball as well. So he's valued as a receiver, but his strength and power in the run game is one of the little unheralded features about what he brings to the table. If you play in Pittsburgh, you better be able to block as a receiver, because they're going to ask you to do it. And if you can't, you ain't going to be there long. And so that's another – and none of these guys from, let's just say, Van Jefferson on down are going to cost you a whole lot of money. And so if you're going to spend a little bit of money in free agency, you're going to get that $3 to $4 million football player that's going to come in here and play a particular role for you. Juju is one of those guys. What do you think about Juju Smith-Schuster?
For the price, if this is the price, hell yeah. At 28, he still got some life in the tank, and he's played on a winning franchise in KC and won a Super Bowl. So you can't discount that ability, because what I've noticed, we sign winners. We're signing players that have actually won, been in big games, have that kind of toughness. So, yeah, for him, I definitely give him an opportunity.
Yeah, the money's not expensive. He is a veteran presence, and he has talent. That wouldn't be horrible, as long as we're still getting rookies at the position. Because remember, we can't keep signing free agents at every position, especially a wide receiver, the way those contracts are going. So we have to be able to develop in-house. And if that is at the detriment of saying, well, instead of signing this veteran for 1 year, give me the rookie instead, if that is, the choice. But if they want to do both, cool, as long as we get a rookie wide receiver.
Yeah, I think there's no question about it. But I got a few star comments if you guys don't mind, I'm going to get to. I'm going to bring this down for a second. Stop the screen. We'll put it back up when we need to. I got a few star comments. This is the more recent one. Jay Capone the Don. Obviously, Jay Capone, shame on you. You ain't been watching the prospect shows. We talking about, what's his name? Thornton. I don't know if that's his name, Deontay. It might be he's talking about the receiver out of Tennessee.
Yep.
High as all double hockey sticks on this kid. We not only did a feature on him was it last week or the week before, whichever one it was. We just did it. I put a short out on the channel, man. It's a short out on the channel. You can kind of get an idea of exactly what I meant. And somebody told me, like, the day after I put that out there, we did or two, that somebody, it was on Nomad at Night, because we did that show on a Friday. That Sunday, somebody came into the chat and said, hey, man, Caleb posted this guy's highlights on his feed. And I was just like, what? And so I looked, and I didn't find it, but I'm not saying that it might have been Caleb's bootleg account. I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me. You talking about this dude is basically Jameson Williams, but a bigger, stronger version of him. And so if Ben Johnson is looking for, and then to your point, Jay Capone, if Ben Johnson is looking for somebody to replicate that role and it's a certain type, he's definitely one of those guys. Savion Williams from TCU, one of those guys. The guy I just did this week was what is his name? Out of Virginia Tech. Just put the short out today. It's a guy out of Virginia Tech. I just can't think of his name right now. There's several guys that fit that role. You can there'll be pretty much a problem in jet sweeps and in reverses and any of that kind of stuff you want to do.
Daquan Felton.
Thank you, FFG. Daquan Felton from Virginia Tech. Check that guy out too, Jacob Home. Tell me, he got some dogs out there. We featuring him. All right, that's
Gordon. Wow.
He's explosive as hell, ain't he?
Ridiculous.
All right, here's Nick, and I think we kind of answered this. No, he said, "Nomad, quick question: how would you feel about adding Kyle Juszczyk, the fullback?" We answered that one. I think we answered this one. Let me see.
Tyler Boyd is what Real Bears fans asking.
Yeah, hold on. He said, "This is Vizzo Joe." He says the name that's starting to surface at number 10 is Tyler Warren, tight end. He can run, he can catch, he can throw, and be a great fit for Ben in his game. Is a game changer. A little Kittle, Kelsey, Gronk. What does the panel think? I'll let you guys take that one on if you guys know him.
Oh, Tyler Warren is a beast. Out of Penn State, he runs over people. He can catch. He blocks. He can run the reverse. He's their gadget, everything kind of player at tight end. Plus, he plays receiver kind of routes. So his route tree is excellent. I'm not sure how they're going to run the two tight end set, and that's the only thing that would deter me from automatically saying, yeah, go get him, because I'm not sure they're going to use Cole Kmet. And that's really the only reason why I'm saying not him right away, because now they're going to be fighting for time just like last year when the tight end position wasn't valued and getting the passes.
I wouldn't – well, let me him as a player, I could see the versatility being something that Johnson would like, that the team could use. But drafting him at 10, I don't know. That seems a little rich.
I think so too. I love the player. Like he's every bit of a versatile. He's like a Swiss Army knife, man. It's what he is. When you look at the totality of what he brought to Penn State, he's a Swiss Army knife. And again, not to diminish that value and saying that he's not worth a number 10 pick. I think he would be worth it, but I don't think we should do it. In my opinion, I think there's other guys on the board that I think, as much as you might want that tight end and as valuable as you might think he is and what he can bring to the table, I don't know. And I'm just talking about what I think they might be thinking inside the building.
Right.
I'm sure there's somebody that's standing on the table if we add 10 to get Warren.
Now, I could see him being a target if, let's say, they trade back into the teens or 20 or whatever, and he's still there. Then I could see them taking him and capitalizing on the depth of the defensive line and offensive line later. And so he would be their first draft pick, but not at 10, only after a trade back and he was still there.
Yeah, so we already got a blocking tight end and Durham Smythe. Got Cole Kmet, who's a quasi when he can and when he wants to, somewhat of a blocking tight end. I think we're probably looking for a pass catcher if we draft the tight end. But if he's dual purpose, that's just going to bring more to the table. That's just my opinion. I don't know what they might do at 10. I would just say it would surprise me if they grabbed the tight end with the 10th pick. It would definitely surprise me. And we're going to talk about something else at the 10th pick in just a minute. But here's another quick question. Chris Foster says, how is he as a blocker? He's got to commit. Let me tell you something about Penn State and what they do down there. Everybody has to pitch in. Everybody's going to have to block. That's a physical bunch. And every tight end that they've brought in that place since, I can't think of the coach's name, who I really think I think the world of this coach at Penn State. And I think he'd make a great transition to the NFL and could lead a franchise for a long time. I love his personality traits, how he inspires people and brings up people. And he's a damn good coach. But what they do in Penn State is they pride themselves on being physical. Yes, that guy can block. Absolutely, Warren can block. Absolutely. Let me get to another comment. Oh, that's it with the comments. Let me get to something else. And so for the last and scrolls, hold your britches now. Keep your Christian peace here. Understand that we're gonna be all right. We're gonna have a conversation. And so like right now, since the Bears did what they did in free agency, there's a little uproar in what they think the Bears might do at 10. And so the first thing out of most people's mouths, and I'm seeing it on everywhere. Now we can get Ashton Jeanty. Now we can get Ashton Jeanty. And I just want to start this. I'm not trying to tell people how to think. I believe this. If you're one of those people who sold on Ashton Jeanty, and there's no turning back for some of those people, that's just where you are, and ain't nothing I'm gonna say right now or do that's gonna change your position. I'm not trying to convince you. Let's just understand that. I'm not trying to convince you. However, what I want to do is put this in perspective for those who want to, you just challenge your way of thinking a little bit and think of it from this perspective. I'm gonna put a graphic up on the screen. Just 1 second. Give me one. I should have been more prepared than this, but here we go. And that's just, how about this? I'm going to ask you, FFG, just know you got Trip right on you, so be very, very brief. Anything stick out to you?
We already got him. Just he's got better contact balance and more power.
Yeah, we have that archetype already. No.
So I had to do this graphic because I mentioned it the other day, and I don't think people really heard me when I said it. So I felt like if I put it up on a graphic in this perspective, then you kind of understand why my way of thinking is, why would I draft Ashton Jeanty when I already have Ashton Jeanty? Why would I do that? To me, you until DeAndre Swift is not on the roster, and I don't see that happening. And unless DeAndre Swift is moved and he's no longer inside that room, then I'm going to up my ante towards, if they draft a running back, okay, this would be a great option for him. But until that happens, I don't see how this makes sense at all.
I wonder if that's true, Bizzo Joe. Did Leonard Floyd sign to the Falcons?
Let me go look. Just stay on track. I'll find out.
And that's not to say that Swift is the same talent as Jeanty, but they are the same size. That's doubling up at the running back position for the same body types and size isn't typically something that's done. You got the Thunder, you got the Lightning. You don't have two Lightnings. You don't have two Thunders. You got Thunder, you got Lightning, and then you have the more versatile guys. So I don't see it happening unless, Swift gets traded someplace, and then, let the speculation fly.
Yeah. When you look at roster building in this perspective, you gotta, I got a particular kind of job to do as a podcaster, and trying to bring a way of thinking to it that's as neutral as I can be and not narcissistic and me-centric, I would say, and try to think of this roster and what they do moving forward, how they move pieces around and, acquire pieces. I tell you guys all the time, I try to put myself in the mind of Ryan Poles and the coaches in this building. And if they're looking at this roster and they feel like, okay, DeAndre Swift is the guy we want to use. He got mired into the muck. DeAndre Swift tore it up at Detroit, tore it up at Philly when he got a chance to. Problem he had here is he got mired in the muck on a bad offensive line who we thought before the season started was a really good offensive line because of how many yards we got the year before that and how we were ranked. We was going to be a great run team, weren't we? And all we need to do is get a home run hitter and he can take it to the next level. Turns out without Justin Fields running the ball, you was less than average as an offensive line. And so he made a whole lot more happen himself as an individual and kind of bolstered them numbers. And so when he was not here, we found out what kind of blocking offensive line we had. And he just got caught in the middle of it. Nobody can tell me that DeAndre Swift all of a sudden is a bad football player. You can't tell me that because I know better. You can tell yourself that. You can tell other people and talk crazy about him all you want to. DeAndre Swift's a great football player. And he just got, mired in the muck behind a terrible run-blocking offensive line. And so do I think he still has a lot of meat on the bone? And hell yeah. You put him, I don't think, number one, I don't think, RB1 is the ideal spot for him. I think RB2 is the perfect situation for him. And that's why you draft a bigger, more I can carry the load kind of running back to complement DeAndre Swift. That's what I'm thinking. They're thinking inside Hallis Hall. Personally, that's what I think.
I concur. He is the lightning in this situation, but you need the thunder to be able to carry the load most of the time. And so when we can draft that in the second or third or fourth or fifth round, that's going to help us out, not needing another smaller wannabe thunder at the same size. We need, versatility at that position, which we haven't had in a couple of years. To the Montgomery.
What is that? The Canuck is up there in the chat.
He's in there hating as usual. Get your hating ass out of here.
Why did the Lions move off of Swift, and why did Philly move off of him after that? He's under the, something that we should take Genty now in preparation to depart from Swift next season. So, have him on the team, in sparse positions, here and there, but have Swift still carry the load.
I'm like, I really see this, I take my Bears fan hat off and everything when I evaluate this stuff. And it's easy for me to see. It's just like, he, like, say, for instance, if Swift would have came here, let's just say he ran for 1,000 yards, had about 12, 13 touchdowns or something like that. Would you still be saying I'm just asking some of the people that's critical of Swift, would you still have the criticisms of Swift if he'd had a better season? I doubt it. Because most of us are creatures and we get caught up in the moment. And right now, it's what have you done for me lately? He's a bum. Get him the F out of here. And it makes my butthole sweat because, and it irritates me a little bit, but I love y'all anyway. It's just like, man, DeAndre Swift is still the same football player. He just probably shouldn't be RB1, and we needed a better blocking offensive line. Come next year, as that line starts to perform and open up lanes for him, and he's performing way better than he did last year, I want to hear that same energy. That's all I want to know. I want to hear that same damn energy.
Hey, man, can I answer, Kez?
Go for it.
All right, so DeAndre Swift for David Montgomery and the running back you got in the draft that's one of the best running backs in the league for the same price. Last year, they got rid of him to get Saquon Barkley, the best running back in the league. Now you tell me who wouldn't have done that? Name a team that would have kept Swift in them two conditions. I can't see any team making that sacrifice for one guy other than Barkley, but you got the best running back that's in the league right now. I would have made the same decisions that both of them teams made. They got rid of James. They got rid of Williams too. Don't nobody ever talk about that. He went to the Saints and wasn't nearly the same cat. This cat's still been putting up numbers on all them teams.
It's outrageous to me, man. I love the No Maniacs, man. Everybody's welcome to their opinion in here, and we're gonna warmly. Yeah, we're gonna do this in a civilized way. That's one thing I like about this network is we do this thing civilly. I'm a football junkie, and I watch this stuff intently. And I'm not saying that because I do that, my thoughts are better than yours, and I know what I'm talking about more than you. I'm not saying that at all. All I'm telling you is I'm very confident in the quality of player that DeAndre Swift is. If given better circumstance, you can get much better production out of it. And the better circumstances I'm describing is getting that offensive line fortified and solid. Hold on. I got some crazy going on around my house. But getting that offensive line fortified and solid and getting him, splitting up the carries with somebody that's more qualified. And so he can be that, that phase 2 running back that can really get you in the passing game and it just hit you for the big one. You know what I mean? It's just like it's real easy for me to detect. I know exactly what happened. That's all it was. He just got caught in the muck. Anything else on DeAndre Swift and Ashton Jeanty? Any more thoughts on Ashton Jeanty? It's not, again, I don't think Ashton Jeanty's a bad running back. Now you're gonna look real good when you're playing against Hawaii, New Mexico, and those types of teams. And you're gonna look real good against Montana and Wyoming. Really good. And he might look good in the league, but that's a factor. That's a variable. There's a lot of teams in the league sitting there with that guy on the board that's like, you know what? He really gashed the hell out of Hawaii. He really tore up Wyoming and Montana. He took advantage of New Mexico, but when it came down to it, and he had a somewhat decent game against Oregon, so I will give him that. But when it came to Penn State, I think it was it the playoffs? Yeah, he got. Man, I'm just saying. I'm just putting that out there. You got to look at all of it. Don't look at some of it. Look at it all.
I think he's a great back that's going to do something in the league for the right team with the right scheme and the right line. That's what he's going to need in the league to be successful.
Man, Sophisticated. I got a homie up in here. Sophisticated said, "No, man, you're not wrong at all about Swift. He isn't bad. It's just in between the tackle. He just isn't in between the tackles type of runner." He's absolutely right. The wide zone and the pulling linemen, the guards and the tackle that's going to pull and lead the way for Swift, like they did in Detroit, is going to pay wonders for him. That's when he plays his best football. They did the same thing in Philly. When there's guards playing gap power schemes and there's a big lead blocker, Swift will gas your defense the hell up. Guaranteed. They just got into a little something different when he got to Chicago, and they just wasn't good enough to really get it blocked up, just to be honest with you. All right. So the latest I seen, let me get this off the screen. We done arguing about Ashton Jeanty. All right.
I didn't know it was an argument.
It's an argument in the chat. Trust me.
No, that's kids. Blame Canada.
He liked one of them James Chappelle skits. The hater. What was it? The hater of the year. That's in here hating. But so latest thing I saw, and I'm gonna look right now. Dante Pettis is off the board, going to the Saints. And let me see something else. Peyton Turner, defensive end. Damn, from the Saints. I like that pick, but we had no real chance of getting him. Peyton Turner is off. Dallas Cowboys just scooped him up. That's the replacement for DeMarcus Lawrence, who is on the board in free agency right now, a gettable piece. And it sounds like his market is going way, way down.
You gonna share the screen?
You want me to? I can.
Yeah. Yeah, so Floyd's gone, but DeMarcus Walker's still available.
DeMarcus Lawrence, man.
Oh, Lawrence. My bad.
All right, so let me take it from the top. All right. Is that the top? Yes, it is. All right, so Cowboys just signed Peyton Turner, who I think highly of, edge rusher out of New Orleans, who just finished up his rookie contract. Let me see. Falcons are expected to sign Leonard Floyd per source. There you go. Now you see why. Upgrade. Saints agreed to terms with one of my favorite receivers, been here in a couple of years, Dante Pettis. Commanders are re-signing our running back, Jeremy Nichols, who I thought highly of when him coming out of college. And Hughes, we already saw all that. So that's your up-to-date move so far. The Bears are still quiet. We're still going to hang around for a little bit to see if anything shakes. But that's what you got so far, man. That's what you got.
Pretty slow, pretty quiet.
Let me see.
Just little deals here and there.
Let me see. I'm looking at some comments in here. Let me see. Like I'm gonna tell you, and it's no secret to anybody, who my favorite running back is in this draft, and reasons why. All you gotta do is go to the Nomad Network YouTube page and just go look at the breakdown I did on Damen Martinez. And in that video, if you haven't seen it, in that video, we'll describe to you everything that I mean when I say he's a Chicago Bears type of running back for this moment. And all you got to do is just go look at not only his film at Miami, check him out when he was at Oregon State too. The guy went through, he's 6 foot 1, 232 pounds, ran a 4.5 40 at that size. And
wait, how much does he weigh?
232 pounds.
And how fast?
4.5.
Did we check his urine and his blood?
Man, dude.
For any substances?
Man, if you get to watching Damen Martinez away from the field, he's really a low-key hippie. The way he was raised up, man. You know, he's just a fun-loving guy, man. He's quiet, unassuming, and when he just has a switch when it comes to football. He's got something to prove. He's got something to prove. And I'm telling you, all you got to do is watch that film. And all you're going to see is like, you know, when people talk about the Chicago Bears that are not, you know, Chicago Bears fans, like you got to move. Like me, I've been around the country a little bit and moved around and been in different areas. And I know how people see Chicago. When they think of Chicago, they think of number one, defense. That's what they think of when they think about Chicago Bears is defense. Second thing is they always got tough running backs, physical, tough running backs. And we've got everything but that here in Chicago. And Damen Martinez, I think, is the epitome of when you want to be a physical football team and when you want to make your brand statement as this is my stamp of who we are as a team. You're going to be physical up front and you're going to hand the ball off to running backs that can pound you. Watch his film and tell me you don't see a Chicago Bears running back. That's all. I just challenge anybody that wants to, you know what I mean? That is the guy to me. If you want to draft a guy to really put your imprint on this team and really show the league that you're going to be physical and hard to stop, that's the running back you draft.
And then also for those, I'm sorry, go ahead, FFG.
Oh no, you got the mic. Go ahead.
For those, you know, as Nomad's looking or not looking, but talking about other running backs prospects that he's looked at. For you Genty supporters, you know, that's cool, but you also got to look at who is your second choice at running back, just in case Genty's gone at 7 with the Raiders, or you know, gone before, you know, our pick at 10. And then no, we ain't trading up for him. So if you want a running back and it's Genty, but he's not available, who's your next guy or next guys? You know, look at it from that perspective instead of like, well, it's Genty or bust. Genty or bust at 10. He ain't at 10. He went before that. So get over it. I'm just saying.
Yeah, man. Damen Martinez. There's a few of them out there, but he's the epitome of, if you want to bring back that Chicago Bears mystique, is that we're going to play physical football on the offensive side of the ball and dominate you on defense. That is all I've ever known. That's in my bones and in my DNA. As a kid, I grew up feeling like that, watching football games in Chicago, whether we were winning or losing. We always had that aura to us. And we don't have that no more. And I'm telling you, the running back to bring that aura back to Chicago, along with this physical front they're putting together, is Damen Martinez. Yes, it is my opinion, but I feel that convicted about this. That's how strong I feel about that kid.
No, Matt, I can't disagree with you. That kid does have that dog mentality in him where he wants to run over everybody around him, through him, stop him in the ground, and get every yard he can. That's the kind of mentality you want as a running back, especially in the cold in Chicago. So, like Tripp said, Genty may not be there. He may not be what the Bears are looking for based on what the coaching staff has in mind. So we have to look at it from the Bears standpoint. Do they see us and Genty as the holy grail, or they see we can get 2 or 3 more other players that's going to make whoever we put back there even better?
And let's see, there's people are saying Hampton, Judkins, RJ, the kid you were just mentioning. So there are multiple options at running back. You know, Genty is not the be all end all at the position in this draft, I don't think.
Now, Not at all, man. Not to take the the luster off the kid. I don't think he's the person for this particular situation here. We already got a person for the situation he could bring to the table. We already have that.
And
RJ,
what I think, man,
go ahead.
Really is the most important part about the NFL today. Injuries come when you least expect them. So you can't just have the one workhorse back and a bunch of bums back there. You need to have that stable in today's game. You really do. Ask the Niners.
It's like all you have to do really is look at, what was successful for them over in Detroit. There was that combo of David Montgomery's, just his toughness and his physicality that he brought to the table, contrasted with the speed, quick guy that can strike you, from anywhere on the field. That contrast is tough to deal with. Imagine having two of the exact same running backs in your stable, and like that dynamic ain't gonna scare nobody. But when it's late in the game, when everybody's tired and that tree is leaning, meaning the defense, hands on the hips, it's leaning. You got it leaning. You're ready to break it down. What back do you have in that stable to really cement your place in this game? Is like, you can't do nothing about this. He's about to put on you. You want a physical running back, right? When it's cold, they're tired. Nobody wants to deal with that in Soldier Field. I can hear the fans right now in a game like that, in a close game, and they just turning around, handing it to the running back like three straight times, and he just pounding them 5-6 yards a pop. That is hard to deal with as a person that played defense. That is the scariest thing in the world, when your defense is tired, they can't put up with too much more, and all they're going to do is turn around and attack you with it one more time. That's the most frightening part of playing defense, when you're tired and you already had too much as it is, and they're going to turn around and keep doing it to you. That is hard to deal with. And so I'm just saying that's the way I see this thing going. They're gonna get a brute, and Damen Martinez ain't just a brute. He's quick. He's shifty. He's got better lateral agility than a lot of backs in this draft at 232. He's not a big plodding dude, man. Dude can play, man. You just gotta watch him. And by the way, thank you, FFG. Get the likes up, y'all, please. We got 330 people in here. Please hit the like button if you don't mind. I hope I didn't offend you too much by having a different way of thinking that you didn't hit the like button. Hopefully, we can all be fine with all our different opinions, man.
Yeah, I think we can move on from this running back situation, or at least this option, because everybody's going to have a difference of opinion, and we just want to see what the Bears feel is the most important factor for them, how they're going to run their offense. So we all have to wait patiently for the next 2 months.
Chris Foster, I wish I knew what round Damen Martinez is going to go. I can look at a projection and tell you what people are projecting him, or some simulators projecting him, or some draft analysts, but nobody knows. Ain't nobody, not a one of us has seen any 32 teams board. I have no idea where Damen Martinez can go. Damen Martinez is one of those slept-on kids that, it's just – there's going to be a team out there that feels like, okay, I think highly of him, and he's going to move. There's going to be cats that you, like kids is talking about 5th round. He probably just looking at some simulator. There's going to be guys that you think are going in the 5th round. That guy's going to go in 3 or 2. There's going to be guys that you think are going 7th round. That guy's going to go 3 or 4. It just varies, because you don't know what's on somebody's board.
Who was that?
This guy don't know how to put his mic on mute.
The hell is it? Party time? What's what happening?
Probably.
Hey, honey. Hey, honey. Can you turn that down back? His honey had to jam up too loud.
Hey, it wasn't even her. It was somebody else. A friend of mine is getting ready to turn 50. Her party's in Vegas in a couple weeks.
On silent, bro.
Hey, join us. Make sure tomorrow is Wednesday, right, for some extra sauce when we do the mock draft, and of course the Sims will give an idea of where where guys are projected, even though, like Nomad's saying, teams are going to take, their players where they want to take their players. But just to get an idea, we've heard the name Genty. We've heard the Trayvon guy, all of those names. But I haven't heard, was it Hernandez, Gonzalez, Rodriguez? What was the name you just said? Nomad?
Martinez.
I knew it was one of those S's. Martinez. I haven't heard his name mentioned by anybody as far as, a prospect. So there are guys out there that we aren't aware of that the scouts are. And, the prospect watchers are, like your Nomad or the other people that are really into watching the film and the tape and identifying the talent in these young kids. So, hey, don't get mad if the guy that you're pounding the table for your own table because you're not in Hallis Hall isn't drafted by the Bears. Just give these kids a chance because there's a lot of talent out there.
Hey, let me ask you a quick question, Trip. And have you ever heard? It's two names that other than Damen Martinez. I want to know if you heard of them. R.J. Harvey.
The guy that smiles a lot from Family Feud.
No, Steve Harvey.
Oh, my bad. So that would be a no on RJ.
R.J. Harvey.
He's a running back.
He's a running back out of Central Florida. All right. What about Taj Brooks?
Never heard of her.
If you don't mind doing me a favor, and this is just for tomorrow, just take a look at highlights for both of those two players, Taj Brooks and R.J. Harvey. And by the time we get to extra sauce tomorrow, just a couple of 2-3 minute clips you'll watch. And by the time we get to some extra sauce tomorrow, I want you to tell me, okay, I hopefully at that point you will understand, like, people getting too goddamn people getting in a bunker about Ashton Genty, and they're not talking about some of these other guys that are out here.
Yeah,
that's going to get drafted later, and they might be more suitable for the job that we need them to do.
What about Raheem Sanders?
Rocket Sanders, yeah, I know about him.
Devin Neal,
Kansas,
big boy.
Basul Tootin.
Basul Tootin out of
Tootin, yeah. He fast.
So there are options.
Bashard Smith is his love child. So
a lot of options, man. Cam Scatterbo, but I think he's got a shelf life, man. He's so doggone physical, man. He ain't gonna last long.
Yards.
He ain't gonna last long, man. He got about a 3-year window before injuries and concussions gonna whoop his ass. I mean, his behind. He's just too physical. For his side.
Hey, he put his nose in there. Sometimes that's what you need. The guy that can do that. And he's gonna be a late round pick too. So
you're gonna end up with another Jaquan Brisker. That's how physical that guy is. He's not trying to avoid anything, and that's gonna be his detriment. You can't do that to all these big NFL players. You can do that in college and get away with it, but you got about a good couple years window before injuries and attrition whoop your behind.
What was my man from Tampa Bay, Mike Allstott?
Yeah, he's built for it.
Oh, but he was built like that.
Battering ram.
Mm-hmm.
Just put his head down. It's like, no CTE for this dude. Wow, okay.
Let me refresh this page over here and see if anything new is going on.
Yeah, but just like Nick Rivers said, Phil Maffa, there's a lot of dudes in this draft that could be the quality yin and yang type running back situation that they're probably looking for. And so that's what I'm focused on. What does Ben Johnson want to run? Because we all have our favorites. Everybody does. But what does the Bears want to run? Especially because you could tell what they're trying to do in the offensive line. They're getting physical, veteran offensive linemen to be able to pull and go down the field and pave the way for the running game. And also be able to be quality pass blockers. So just imagine what the running game is going to look like with that and how Cole Kmet is going to be affected. And they went and got a blocking tight end to help in the running game. So just imagine what they're actually thinking this setup is going to be going forward.
And just to layer on a little bit thicker with Damen Martinez, he will pound you in pass pro. He knows, and I looked at an interview, and one of the scouts, I think might have been at the Senior Bowl, was asking him about that. He's just like, oh, I know that's the way you stay on the team. You won't get on the field unless you put it on people in the pass pro. He's a big boy and can put it on linebackers and whoever else, safeties, corners who blitzing off the edge. He will put it on your behind. You understand me? And you talking about all aspects. You want to talk about all aspects of being a running back, and he's got natural baby soft hands. He's a natural receiver. He's just not being talked about because everybody's just up and, like they do every year with certain players, man. Everybody wants to rather talk about Ashton Genty.
Trevor Etienne.
That's the lightning piece you might be looking for.
The way it looks, you probably get him in the 7th round.
This just in by Vizzo Joe. Shout out to Vizzo Joe. This just in, Poles and Ben Johnson to speak tomorrow at Hallis Hall. That's phase 3. I guess we got to go live for a little bit, just to see. Hopefully they got a couple more players by then.
And
announce everybody. My bad, Trips.
No, I'm sorry. I just had a thought that came to my head. It's like as many running backs that we just named off, there aren't that many teams looking for running backs. So some of this talent has to fall in the draft.
Yes. A lot of it's going to fall because I tell you what, I look at all of them, and people might want to know, like, what do you think are the strongest points and what do you think are the weakest points? I wouldn't say there's a particular weak point. There's less, like, you can't, like, it's like when you're looking at the centers, man, it's like there's not a center in this league, not too many of them in this league that everybody projected he was going to be a great center in this league. Most of them got drafted late or didn't get drafted, and they just became what they are. You know what I mean? There's the Jackson Powers Johnsons of the world that people predicted it was going to be a really good center. And then you got Bo Limmer and people like that. There's centers in this class that I think are going to be really good in the NFL, like at least 20 of them I could think of. Now, the strength of this draft class to me are the playmakers, defensive line, and offensive line. That's the strength. You're talking about defensive tackles, edge rushers, talking about offensive tackles, guards, just playmakers like Savion Williams. There's a lot of them guys in there. There's a lot of cornerbacks, a lot of safeties. Man, really strong safety class. Tight end is really thick. And so, like, if you got to look at each individual team, like everybody that comes before in the top 20, what do they need given what they just did in free agency? What do they need on their roster? And that's how players start to drop. It's not that the player is not that good or we thought he was something and he's not. They're going to draft based on – a lot of teams are going to draft based on need. We are going to get fortunate enough that it might be a need by the time we get to the draft, but most of that is going to be a want. And that's where we want to be at, right? Get to the wants. I want this player. He's going to change the game up for me, whether it's a, some game-changing player at the first pick or it's a trench player. But some of these guys are definitely going to fall to Tripp's point. Some of the running backs might really drop down. Some of them might really drop down, but it's going to be somewhere in that second, probably about that third round, you're going to start seeing them bad boys come off the table in abundance.
I really think that the way that the Bears are shaping up, they're going to want to stable up running backs. And because the position has been devalued so much by the league that very few players are getting paid, that it's easier to draft them in the later rounds because they know there's a plethora of them. So you're going to get a lot of kids that are going to be spectacular players that aren't going to be considered first-round talent, which probably are, or second round or third round, getting picked up later in the draft because they don't want to have to pay them.
Just got a new move, Justin Reed to the Saints. Thank you for that, Nick Rimbert. I was looking at him hard. Just went to the Saints. Saints are trying to retool. Chiefs just let him walk. They're gonna draft another safety.
We could have got him for that price.
Man, I had him. Trust me, I had him dead bullseye on my radar.
And that's who I thought we were saving that money for. You talk about we was waiting. That's who I wanted, the safety.
Maybe there was a negotiation going on we don't know about. Could be. Ron Winarski, nothing yet today. That's why we're hanging around just a little bit longer to see if something shakes. This could be one of those moves because I think he's the best safety in this free agent class. Now, he just got, taken off the board by the Saints. Maybe the Bears got outbid for him. I don't know if they was even in the market for him, but they probably should have been. You know what I mean? But we'll see what happens after this. Maybe this move triggers another move because he's the best safety and probably the top safety, him and Javon Holland in this class.
And he got scooped up earlier today by the Giants.
I heard, yeah. I heard that. Let me see.
I think it was 3 years, $45 million.
Nick Rimber said we got Scott Daly today.
Yeah, we got a long snapper, which we already knew.
Hey, y'all hold it down for a minute. A little leftover coffee. I got.
Oh man. So Trips,
what up?
Who do you think? When we looked at the entire, well, at least for the offense. I mean, if you want to go defense, you can. But for the depth chart, who do you think that they're really going to prioritize going forward, and what position do you think they're going to try to attack before the draft starts on those low ball contracts to get depth?
Let's see. They've already addressed offensive line. They've addressed tight end. They've addressed defensive line. They've addressed linebacker. They brought in somebody. We have not addressed safety as of yet. So I could see one of the depths or a safety and maybe wide receiver.
Okay. Safety was my number one thing I wanted. So that's what I've been jumping on the table for since free agency started. I want to get one of those quality safeties at a lower price before it goes nuts, because we still gonna have to pay Spider-Man, so that's another reason why I thought they were waiting to see what happened. You know what I'm saying?
And that's Marlon saying here in the chat, if we trade down and get Armanwari, he's coming in and he's fighting for a starting spot, off rip. So I mean, that's somebody that we can, develop and not really develop because, develop more, but he can come in, he can make an immediate difference. And that's after a trade down.
Let me pull back up. Let's look at the safeties again. I don't know if we looked at them isolated yet, but I'm gonna take a look at them now and see what we got here. Give me a second. See who's off now. Now that Justin Reed is off the board, let's see what we got here.
But I really think that it's going to be a whole bunch of options. We're going to have a safety in the draft if we trade back.
I have no doubt that we're going to draft a safety. I have no doubt about that. This would be kind of like depth. Trayvon Moore, he's already off the table. Let me get the available players. Justin Reed is gone. This thing hasn't updated yet. Maybe I should refresh it. See what happens after that. Justin Simmons is the best player available. To me, since he's been in the league since his first or second year, I thought he was one of the better safeties in football. He's now 31 years old. I don't think he's going to cost you a whole lot of money. Justin Simmons would be 1B compared to Justin Reed right about now. That would be a good pickup for us. I like Julian Blackmon from Indianapolis. That's where he got drafted. Julian Blackmon. Let me see. Quandre Diggs, man, if he wasn't 32 years old, I'd be all over that. Marcus Epps is another good piece, too. So, the safety, we'll see what happens here.
Well, my issue is we already got our veteran safety on the team.
I didn't put it up, man. I was talking. I thought I put this on the screen.
No.
I'm sorry.
It's all good.
There we go. So now y'all can see the best safeties up there. Start at the top, Justin Simmons, Rayshawn Jenkins, Marcus Epps, Xavier Woods, who came out of Baylor a couple of years ago. I was high on him. Julian Blackman, Jordan Fuller, and Quandre Diggs are the top, 7 or 8 guys. And I think we're gonna draft a safety, no question about it. And I think you still need some depth on the roster, though. You still need depth. It might be a contract there that you might want to let go of just to get another one in. Just don't know. Good question, Narski. I think he's gonna come back and he's gonna play. The question is, he's gonna play for Chicago. Kez doesn't think they have too much money left for anybody else.
Yeah, I would say that the only players that need extending that haven't been are just Gordon, right? Well, do you think that they will extend Brisker? I don't.
No, I don't.
Hell no. So those are the top safeties up there. Let's get back to let's get that off and get back to the latest moves. I did see something right before I got out of there. Somebody got signed. I think it was a linebacker or something. Yeah, 49ers signed a linebacker. Luke Gifford, that piece. So still nothing going on for the Bears, man, but we're here for you guys, No Maniacs. That's what we do. Trying to give you guys some content and enjoy ourselves at the same time while we wait for something to shake loose for the Bears. I still got a feeling something may shake. I'm not trying to promise anything, but it's a possibility something may shake. Might be one of those smaller, less notable, the Tim Patrick or Juju. Could be a safety. It could be another defensive lineman, some dude they think they can get in here on a good contract. Another offensive line. It could be any number of people they think they can bring in here, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think what Kedge is looking at, which a lot of people are, because even did a show last night where the Bears are negative $5 million. It hasn't really shown what the signing bonuses are going to be for the guys we just brought on. So I think they're going to give a lot of these cats a lot of money up front that pushes the salary cap back up, and we have no idea who they're restructuring. So I think we're still going to have about $30 million once they do that easily, and that's outside of what we pay the rookies and the practice squad guys that we have to sign.
I wonder if because I know we're still in the window where we can release players and release that salary off the roster. If there's still a potential that if there's a guy, that's why I wish Kids was here. He likes to do all that kind of stuff. And is there a guy somewhere on the roster that they can get rid of his salary, let him go? It could be a decent player just to get room to sign somebody. Those kinds of things are probably going on inside the house all right as we speak. What's up, Ron C?
Well, no matter the biggest one right now that costs us nothing, is let go of Ryan Bates because his salary is not guaranteed for this year. He already got paid. He's just planning on run out the contract. That's $4 million right there.
I think Ryan Post still values that guy.
And that depends
on
Bayard.
Huh?
What about Bayard?
No, he's making $8 million. It's guaranteed.
Yeah. The first thing out of OKC Bears is definitely Ryan Bates. Ron C. Ryan Bates, let him ride. Yeah. It wouldn't really mess with my underwear and wouldn't cram my underwear if they did. But I think Ryan Poles in particular wants people to see why he valued him, man. If he goes now, it looks like Ryan Poles is a doofus for signing him in the first place. He was hurt, and you kind of knew that before you got him, but he wants to see some return on his investment. And I think he's trying to hold on to that guy. If there's somebody like Ben Johnson or Dan Bouchard that says, this guy ain't worth holding on to, then then he has to bite the bullet and say, you know what, I got to take this one on the chin, and then he's out the building. But right now, I think that would have happened by now. When you say FFG or Trips, Kids just bust up in here because he couldn't take it no more.
That'd be crazy. Look, I've been looking all over the world. These guys ain't got no more money. They need to figure something out. So
we're gonna do your thing. I'm gonna take this screen down and keep an eye on it privately. Do your thing.
There's not much for me to do, but I'll do it anyways. Give me 1 second. I'll just show you guys what I'm seeing out there in the winds, and I'm pretty sure this will all be fixed up by tomorrow. Well, here we go. Snap. Here's spot track. Boom. All right. I just want to show y'all this. All right. Grady Jarrett, Scott Daly, Tavares Moore, Durham Smythe, Dayo Odeyingbo, and Drew Dalman. Ain't no numbers associated to them at all. All right. So when you're looking around at what these numbers look like right now, there's nothing for the reserve list, which means they have nothing for the for this draft class. All right. And they're speculating $37 million. I'm pretty sure
37 million for the entire draft class.
No.
No.
They're speculating $37 million right now. But what I'm trying to tell you is these guys that were just signed, none of their money's been taken out. So I think Drew Dalman's about 17 million this season. Dayo,
I heard
14.
more like 14 million.
14.
Let's call it 14. Dayo is probably again around what, 15?
14, 15.
14 and a half.
Okay, there goes 28. And then
Right,
Grady Jarrett.
No, I don't think we're.
Dayo is 16. Grady Jarrett is 14 and a half.
Wait,
But
hold on,
they're going to get a signing bonus.
Hold on.
100% of their salary gets paid out.
Before y'all go down this road, remember when we started free agency, we had closer to 80. These contracts aren't official until tomorrow on Wednesday when they actually sign them. So it looks like they've deducted the estimated cost of these contracts from that total already.
No.
So you're not subtracting these contracts from 37.
Yes, you are. These contracts are not.
So what happened to the 80 we had?
This is what I'm trying to say. These contracts are not they're not taken into account at all. The 80, so Jonah Jackson, 17, Joe Thuney, 16. Like that's where they're at. There's $30 million right there. It wasn't 80, it was 60. And there goes your $30 million. So this is pretty accurate as to where they are.
So we broke.
But yeah, we broke is what I'm trying to tell y'all. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's why I jumped in to tell you there's no money. What needs to happen at this point is they need to restructure likely 3 people. And we all know who those 3 people are. Montez Sweat, DJ Moore, and everybody's favorite linebacker.
No, Cole Kmet. He's the longest contract.
Cole Kmet, if they restructure Cole Kmet, all they get is $5 million back. They get more money by restructuring Tremaine Edmonds.
But he said he'll make $17 million next year too, though.
Something's off about that whole thing, man. It's something about. I'm somewhere in between where you are.
Here's the thing.
Hold on.
They're looking at it like they're getting.
Bro, hold on. I'm somewhere in between Trips and what you're saying. Now, Trips is looking at grand scheme, based off what we were told after they cleared up everything they cleared up. It was somewhere in the neighborhood. I heard it was like more like 90 million that we had in cap space after they got done with all that. Trips says 80 million, so let's stay there. Kansas thinking more like 30 million. And,
no, we ain't never had no 80 million or 90 million, dog. We had somewhere in and around $60 million plus. It was like 65. If you restructure those 2 big top end players, DJ and Sweat, that'll pump you up to 90. Now, the one thing that I will say is I'm not sure. This is the only potential difference here. I'm not sure if this all took into account the bump from the salary cap bump that happened a couple of weeks ago. I'm pretty sure it did, though. I'm just saying they made some big money signings. I don't think they have any more money to do anything else in free agency. That's just where we're at. We'll find out for sure, I believe, tomorrow. I think all this stuff will get shaken out tomorrow.
Here's why I know you have to be wrong is because they're going to have at least 10.5 million to sign whoever they draft. And so there's 10.5 somewhere.
That don't make me wrong. That makes Ryan Poles wrong, and he needs to restructure somebody.
There's 10.5 somewhere that you ain't seeing.
That means that Ryan Poles needs to restructure somebody. That's all it means. The question is who.
Well, kids, we don't know how much they're going to give everybody up front either. Because we could decide we were going to pay a large part of the salary as a bonus to everybody that we've traded for or signed. Because Grady Jarrett was off the street. We give him his whole salary tomorrow, and he ain't making nothing towards the salary cap going forward until next year. And after that, he's playing for free. You see what I'm saying?
Okay. That is the best way to manage this. You're right. If they're pushing as much as they can here into bonus case scenario.
Yep.
That's the only thing that makes sense. I mean, if they restructure as a, for instance, Joe Thuney and give him bonus right up front as opposed to the 16 portion of his contract, that would be a smart move. You can push the rest of it into next year if that's really what you want to do. There's things that can be done here. I'm just saying they ain't did them yet, and I don't think there's any money for them to really go out and talk contract with anybody until they get their numbers right. So
well, technically we can, because they already know what they're going to do, because they got, oh boy, that's the guru up there. They promoted him to vice president because he's so good with contracts.
Not Cliff Stein. They got a new guy. I forget that guy's name. It was Cliff Stein that was doing all that stuff before.
Joey something.
But they promoted him a couple, like 2 months ago. They promoted him to.
It was like Weinstein or one of those.
No, I think it's Joey.
So
anyways,
he knows what he's doing. So I'm pretty sure they're gonna free up some money. We're gonna have at least $30 million after tomorrow to do whatever we want to do, because we're gonna have to pay the rookies.
It's gonna be some stuff that shakes. It's gonna be when the actual terms come out, and I'm imagining that's gonna come out sometime tonight or tomorrow before they do that presser. Then we'll get a true sense of what those numbers look like, because this is all reporting from major reporting outlets. They're reporting this is approximate numbers that they're saying these guys are getting signed with. Now the real numbers ain't gonna wash out until sometime tomorrow, I think. And then
let's be real, right? So if we're looking at all of those guys that I just listed that no numbers are being associated with, along the lines of what FFG is saying, let's say they're making, again, just $15 million a piece. You could split that up by giving like $9 million in bonus for each one of those guys. And that pretty much prepares an additional $20 million to mess around with. 12 of that will be dedicated to your draft picks. So you still have, you still got $8 million to mess around with, worst come to worst. I ain't mad. You know what I mean? I'm just saying I would be very surprised if anything pops off here in the next 24 hours until they get their numbers straight. Because if they have to go back and restructure somebody, then that's what they'll actually need to do. And that's a precarious situation. You're going to a dude and saying, hey, like, we want to do this with your money. Is it cool? And he has full carte blanche to say, no, I don't want to do that at all. I like my money the way that it is. And that's where things get sticky.
Who's going to turn around a $20 million check today and I have to wait for it for 3 years or 2 years?
Hey man.
That's the thing that we're not looking at. A lot of these cats going to take that upfront cash.
Yeah,
especially the older veterans, they're going to take that money today or tomorrow.
Well, to be honest with you, I think the easiest one to do it with is actually DJ Moore.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Grady Jarrett and the young kid from Indianapolis, Dayo, they can do that with all of them. Dalman, same thing, because really he's got a 2-year deal. If you look at what he's making, you pay him 1 year up front. That's almost no cap hit. And we just pay him his regular salary next year and got him for free to third or a 4th year, almost, So there's a lot of ways that they can actually facilitate the money going forward, because they know the cap's going to go up next year anyway.
So that's the trick. I just want to let y'all know I don't think anything's going to pop off here for the Bears for at least the next 24 hours until they square that money away. Once it's squared away, and depending on whether they restructure the guys that we just suggested, which just makes the most sense, if they do that, they may make one more big money move. Now, I kind of doubt it, because I expect a certain Kyler man to get paid this year. So they may want to keep that money in their back pocket to do that. So 6 and 1/2 dozen of the other.
Also, you might want to read out Vic's statement. He's kind of leaning into kind of what you dealing out right now, kid. You want to read Vic?
I can see them converting some of the free agent money into bonuses. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. We're not in the position to restructure today. They do it when you're a Super Bowl contending team. I'm with you. It's just the amount of money tied to Sweat and DJ that they could make available is a game-changing player. All right, like you could bring a powerhouse player in with that kind of money, but I'm with you. I'm sure all of these other contracts that we're talking about will be heavily bonused up, like straight up. That's my thoughts.
I'm like Richard Long. The NFL accounting can manipulate money like Hollywood. They have plenty. They have.
It's true, man. It's fluid. You got to move it around. And scrolls, if you don't take the restructure, you get traded. Unfortunately,
the doggone Eagles do this every single year. This 49ers do this every single year. It looks like that dog strapped with cash and they can't do nothing. Next thing you know, they're shaking stuff loose and they're getting guys. How did they do that?
It's because
that's what Richard Long is saying.
It's because they draft right, but like we can't even. Like if you saw the money, and I'm gonna look at it real quick here. If you saw the money, the dead money associated with these guys to cut them, you can't even consider that. So dead money costs more than his bloody salary. If we're talking about Montez Sweat, 25 cap hit, $33 million dead money if we cut him. So we're minus $8 million if we get him. So here's negative $11 million for DJ Moore. So like you've got to restructure these guys.
There's one other aspect that we have not considered so far. We've been talking about this stuff for a couple of days, and you just not getting into one of these shows. One other aspect, now that we're talking about money and what's available and there's a trade aspect too. There's trades that hadn't happened, or if they might be thinking about them. There's that aspect too. If they really want to shake something loose. Now, I thought it was interesting that they made sure they got Josh Blackwell inked up for 2 years, knowing that they have Kyler Gordon coming up for a contract. I thought that was interesting. Worth talking about? I don't know, but there's those two things. There's those two things that are out there. You know, we don't want to see Kyler Gordon go anywhere. But I'm not insinuating that they should trade Kyler Gordon. I'm talking about other players.
Kyler Gordon's a terrible example just because there's no money associated with him today. Like you ain't saving anything. He's still on a rookie deal.
What other player has trade value?
There's the only guys who have trade value. It's two guys. The two guys who have actual trade value is no, because you trade them, you're eating the dead money that I just explained. So you gotta the only reason you would trade a DJ or a Montez or a Tremaine Edmonds, you know, if you're trading any one of those guys, you're doing it for draft capital, big draft, for a couple of firsts here with any of those. Same thing with Jalen Johnson, $30 million dead money. You're stuck paying that regardless. So you don't want to touch any one of those guys. The only guys who are worthwhile touching are DeAndre Swift. He's worthwhile touching. You only get
about $4 million.
You would only save 500 grand.
It ain't worth it.
Not worth it. And the other one is Kevin Byard. Kevin Byard's actually the realest one of them all. You could trade and or cut Kevin Byard, to be frank with you, and pull back another $7 million. So he's probably the one person who's left over that would make sense for them to cut, except that he, in my opinion, played really good football last year. For some strange reason, there are different views of Kevin Byard. I thought Kevin Byard was damn good, but hey, to each his own.
Well, we got a couple of punters that just came off the board. You want to know that? I don't think y'all do. So Jacoby Brissett, this quarterback, this time with the
Cardinals. I was sick of talking about punters in the 5th round last draft.
Oh, yes, he's a hater.
Somebody, Rex is saying that.
Of course, I'm going to hate on that. My guy, Bucky Irving is sitting on a bench somewhere, and we go and get a punter, and we can't run the ball for 17 games. You can't run the ball. And there's Bucky doing the darn thing. Come on.
He got a better offensive line, though.
I ain't saying he would be the greatest thing, but at the end of the day, I guess them punts look real good to y'all, didn't they? They look real good. Them punts.
Nick Rimber's breaking news again today. He's got Tanyan going to the Chiefs. I think that's a really good move for them. Robert Tanyan going to the Chiefs. He didn't look as well as we hoped he would in Chicago for a lot of different reasons. I don't blame him for it all.
How many tight ends they need over there?
Well, they're probably about to let one of them go.
Well, the one said he isn't retiring, and the other one's on a rookie deal, and he's actually pretty good. So
definitely won't be that one. One of those other ones that has probably got some value to him.
Noah Gray, did Noah Gray leave?
One of those guys or something. You want to look at it? Let's take that down for a second, kids. We can come back to it. I'll put up, or you can go right since you got it up. Put up the tight end market on Spot Track.
Hey, while you're doing that, I just want to Rex real quick. He said if you cut a trade buyer, then that creates a hole. Well, that would kind of go to my earlier speculation that if you do trade back and you draft a Amenwari, kind of safety, now he's going to come in and start. Your hole is filled, and you save that money, whatever buyer would have, saved for trades or cuts.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, kids, OKC saying trade dead cap is different than cut dead cap.
Yep.
Because guaranteed future money is not dead cap.
You're right. Some people, some teams will offer you some portion of that salary. But point being, these are the three, I'm talking about the three biggest salaries on the team, and they're astronomical. They're at a level where, okay, well, we're going to pay 16. Cool. Well, that payment of 16 will then eat into whatever draft capital you're gaining back for that player. So it makes it a bit of a wash. The only reason you would do stuff like this is what I'm saying. You're going to trade a Montez Sweat for 2 firsts. You're going to trade a Jalen Johnson for 2 firsts. You're going to trade a DJ Moore for 2 firsts. I'm going to say it out loud. I don't think anybody is giving 2 firsts for any of those guys. I'm going to say that now. Next year,
you trade, here's
next
the thing,
year, maybe.
If you do trade, then you're not responsible for none of that money. That's on the other team. They're taking that contract, just like we took the contract for Tooney. The picks.
They might. They also might not. It's all within the negotiation.
Well, because the season hasn't started yet, technically, until tomorrow. So if we trade today, we ain't responsible for none of that money.
Well, we'll see what happens within the next 24 hours. If they let go one of those guys, perhaps. But if they do it the following day, it's a problem. It's literally
right. If it's Thursday, then we on the hook. If it's tonight, we gravy.
Yeah.
And we look and see if there's anything happening. I think the 2 punters was the last thing I saw. See if anything else popped off. Nope, it's still there. We'll give it. Y'all good hanging around another 30 minutes. If nothing else shakes, man, we can go on bounce, man.
Sure.
Yeah, I think the Bears have decided to cool off a little bit. So
well, yeah, because we broke.
I'm trying to tell y'all, there ain't no money. There's nothing there for them to spend. So when they get some money figured out, then something might happen. But
so looking at all of the positions of need and or depth that will be remaining will be 1 year $1 million free agent deals or rookies.
If it was me, I don't know about the rest of you guys. I'm good, man. I'm good with what they did. I'm good right now. You know what I'm saying?
What it makes me think?
What do you miss?
What it makes me think? Them being okay. What'd you make? 1, 2, 3. What was it? 3 moves?
No, it's more than that.
I'm talking about free agency.
Yeah,
3 moves.
Jordan Jackson.
Okay. Well, 4.
Add those 2 to it. You got 5 moves, right?
Yeah, in my opinion,
you got 5 moves, and we just got through looking at the roster and the depth. And it makes me. This is what I think is going on. If you're right, if they just stop here and they just live with what they have and take the rest of it to the draft, this is going to make the after draft, the UDFAs, again, like I said, I did a whole damn video about this. the way it's starting to look, and if you are right, kids, and they stop right here, the UDFA marking, they're going shopping. You understand me? They're really going to go shopping to really get some depth on this team, because you only got what? How many picks do you have left? You know, what do you have left?
7.
You have 7 picks, and you can only do so much with that.
But you can parlay 7 into 10 easily, though, because they're so high.
So FFG, you're not good with what went down. What are you missing?
Well, 2 things you guys missed is we did get a tight end, and we did re-sign the long snapper. So that's 7 moves technically, if you want to.
No, they just did. They re-signed Scott Daly today.
Right. So that's 7 moves. But there's certain pieces, and we're not even going to count like Ford and Bill Murray, the people they tendered to offers. You know what I mean? So as far as the depth is concerned, we can still spend about $4 or $5 million and get 2 or 3, 4 or 5 guys to shore up the backup roles or even the third string roles for competition for the rookies that we bring in, because we need quality at this point.
Okay. So if that's what you're saying, they're not going to spend any money there. Like, I don't see them doing that. I see them doing exactly what Nomad just finished saying, and those players that you're describing will come out of UFDA. That's UDFA, yeah, undrafted free agent. That's where I think that they're going to come out of. Outside of that, the reality to me is they did, and I said it before, they kind of needed to do these particular moves to make sure that they're not beholden to any specific position in this draft. They can draft free and clear at this point, and I love it. So I do expect, you just mentioned tight end. I do expect them to hit a tight end in this draft now. I expect them to get at least 1 running back, maybe 2. I expect a safety and either or an edge rusher and an offensive lineman, maybe a center. But let's be real, both of those positions have been addressed. I think the real position to address out of the 2 of them at this present time is the edge rusher. Because I'm just not sure about Dayo. But Dayo on this line with Grady Jarrett and Montez Sweat and Javon Dexter and or Andrew Billings, I think he's going to eat, right? As a collective, I think those guys are going to eat now. But you layer in an Austin Booker and a rookie, I'm with it. Right now, you got rotation. So that's kind of how I see them going to market for this draft. I think they'll probably get a bruiser later in the draft by way of running back, and maybe something early on like a Genty or a Judkins or a Trayvon. We'll see. But that's how this is all starting to shake out to me. I've done about 18 mock drafts in the last 24 hours. I'll let you know.
We know you've been going nuts over there.
Hey, volume again, FFG. Volume. Just turn your volume down again.
I'm going crazy with it, man. Just trying to make sense of it. And a lot of the time it's Nick Emanwari who winds up being my first pick in the first round. The other 2 guys is Genty or Tyleik Williams. Those are like the 3 guys that I wind up landing on.
What position does he play?
Tyleik Williams is he's a nasty nasty 3-tech, man.
I'm ashamed of you, Trip. You ain't been watching the content, man. We did Tyleik, like one of the first prospect shows we did was Tyleik was there.
You should have, it should have been one of the first. He's one of the, at this point, again, given what they've done, he's one of the clear upgrades, but he's still going to, my problem with even Tyleik is that he's going to sit behind Jervon and Grady Jarrett. So to me, you just need to get a starter at this point with that first pick. And even Emanwari would be depth.
Well, look at it from this perspective. The next time you do a mock draft of the positions that we addressed in free agency, we are not going to take the top of those picks. So that pushes down your D tackles, maybe even your edge from not first round, or second round selections. So look at the positions of need that were not addressed, like safety, maybe running back, maybe wide receiver, even though we're not going to take a wide receiver in like top 10 or anything like that. But I'm talking about trade backs, because the way Poles has set this roster up, we don't need any starters from the draft, do we? Didn't we address all of the starting positions in free agency?
Maybe a slot, maybe
Maybe
slot
safety though.
Maybe
other than the positions that I mentioned, safety, slot receiver, and a wide receiver. I'm a running back.
Running back.
Hey,
Yeah.
Charles, I think Ron C got it, man. So left tackle is the one position that is still slightly in question, and I'm going to say this out loud as well. I fully expect Joe Thuney to play left tackle if Braxton Jones is shaky early on. Fully expect it. He did it for the Chiefs last season. Is it his, Pro Bowl position? No, but fully expect it to happen, worst come to worst. So even then, I don't know if they do the left tackle thing until the second round. Like, I see an Ursary coming to us in the second. That's my thought. That I bet you that is who's playing in Texas?
He's talking about Kelvin Banks, probably.
Kelvin Banks. Okay, so that maybe a Kelvin Banks, but he's definitely square in the first. I think at this point it squarely leads to the obvious question. It's the question we've been having here today already. Is Genty available? If somebody else drafts him, he's gone. It is what it is. But if he's available, that's the clear and obvious position of need at this present time. It just did.
In this situation, with a little bit of money we were probably going to have left over, do you think it's relevant that we actually get offensive line backup help, because the way our offensive line has been playing over the last couple years, all beat up?
Not to sit on a bench, no. And the reason I'm saying this is because we still have 39 and 41. So by all means, I expect 39 and 41 to probably be either edge, DT, and left tackle. Like, those are the three positions I think that will shake out at 39 and 41. But again, if we're talking about pick number 10 or early in, first round pick, you want a starter. And even neither one of those positions, quite frankly, are you going to start the rookie at. Not DT, not DT, not LT.
Kids, I think if they covered tackle with the very first pick they take, whether it's at 10 or whether they move down and pick it, if that's the first thing off the board, if it's a tackle, if it's a left tackle, that guy's going to be the starter. And Braxton Jones is going to swing. Yeah. He's going to get the Darnell Wright treatment. You play him right now, and that's the way it's got to be if you draft a guy that early.
And to the point about Thuney playing left tackle, I mean, he did it, but he wasn't really good at it, was he? Because I remember seeing him get beat a few times out there.
It's not ideal for the guy. It's not ideal.
Right. So if the ideal position, I want him at his ideal position, which is, let's say, left guard. And then now you get either Amagaji and Thuney fighting for the left guard spot, or, Amagaji and Braxton Jones and or a rookie fighting for left tackle.
Yeah, I don't. So Amagaji is still to be honest with you, he's just still a developmental player. I don't even know outside of his measurables if he's going to really be a left tackle. At this point, given what he did last season, I think they're going to kick him inside. There's two Pro Bowlers inside. So I don't think we're going to see a lot of Amagaji there outside of just being the swing backup for the tackle position, if anything. But I could be wrong, and I really hope that I am, guys. I hope that Amagaji just flat out develops, because he didn't get any opportunity to do so last season because he was hurt. So if he develops this time in camp, maybe we got a diamond in the rough just sitting waiting in the wings. Highly possible, because again, measurements, he has the measurements for this position. He's got the arm length, he's got the size, he's got the lower quarter. Hopefully he can actually play the position. But what we saw last season, unfortunately, was not He didn't give me any confidence that he's going to step into the role. So we got a couple months to find out about him. But Braxton and that leg worries me. So I don't know. I would hope that Amagaji can step up and be the guy there. I just don't know if he really and truly can. I'll stop screen sharing so we can see.
Well, let me ask you this, Kat, since you have done so many mock drafts.
Yeah.
Looking at, and Nomad too as well, since you've been doing a lot of prospect research, how many of these left tackles, pure left tackles in this draft are starters as rookies?
About 9 or 10 of them, in my opinion.
9 or 10?
Yeah. I think 9 or 10 of them are going to start right now. I think it's more than that, depending on teams' need.
You're talking about left tackles?
Pure left tackles.
Pure left tackles.
All right,
I'll
kids.
say about 6 or 7 is who's developed them too. For the
you got to consider all that. What team are they going to? What are the team needs? Are they capable of starting at left tackle? I see right off the top of my head, it might be more 9 or 10 of them.
Yeah, I don't know about all that. That's a very long list. But
So,
you've been watching a lot more film than I have. You give me your list, bro. You know what? I'll help you out.
If that is the actual possibility, now you can get a starting left tackle not in the first round.
There you go. That's why I'm saying pick 39 and 41. You can still get a quality, potentially starter caliber, starter caliber tackle right there.
Like I don't think that people really understand. Like most of the starters, like tackles and stuff, they don't come from like the big schools, and they're not heralded as like these high draft. Like everybody built these guys up. Most of those guys don't really pan out. It's these guys that people get later in the draft, middle of the draft, towards the end, that they get around good coaches in a good scenario that turn out. All I'm talking about is projecting the traits, and the traits get you where you need to be. When you get with the good coach highlights the traits and brings you up to where you need to be. Where do you think Terron Armstead came from? He's one of the top tackles in football. Where do you think he came from? Arkansas Pine Bluff.
Small school.
7th round pick. There's a lot of guys like that in the league that Clemson, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State. These guys
I know what you're saying, but what we're talking, it's a bit of a different conversation we're having here, right? Like the conversation you're having is you want to select somebody to supersede your existing left tackle who's potentially hurt and start. I don't think you want to draft that guy in the 7th round. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that there's no talent in the 7th. Trey Smith, not a tackle, but Trey Smith was found in the 7th round.
6.
6. My bad. But I mean, he's found him much later in the draft. There's tons of examples of this. But do you want to bet the farm on your blind side on a 7th rounder when you have clearly the opportunity to get somebody at the upper echelon of the draft that's a little bit more surefire?
There's a valid argument there especially for people like if you know talent and you confident. The question is how confident in this coaching staff are they versus like they were a little too confident in Chris Morgan, in my opinion. And I think that blew up in their faces. We probably should have seen a lot more development along the line, and we didn't. Now, when you got a guy with a track record like Dan Rochar, who has put Pro Bowl after Pro Bowl after Pro Bowler, I mean, then at this point, I think you can probably do a little bit of that. Listen to him and see how he's projecting some of these guys later on. And that's where I would be, because I'm telling you, I study enough football. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm the perfect evaluator. Nobody pays me to do this stuff. But I'm telling you, I do know football, and I'm telling you, some of these guys later on in that draft are going to surpass these guys that are thinking, everybody's thinking they're so high on right now because of the situation they'll be given to. You're talking about these guys that are going to plug and play right now. Will Campbell, he's going to have to play tomorrow. Kelvin Banks, he's going to have to play tomorrow. Some of these other guys that are out there, they're going to have to play tomorrow. And that's just because where they're drafted. After that, the draft might taper off a little bit, and then some of those other guys will come up and get drafted. Those are the guys, 9 times out of 10, there won't be a whole lot of pressure on them right away. And they'll have time to develop. And so,
how many day one starters did you say you saw at left tackle, kid?
Me personally, I would say that there's a solid 5, and that's not including folks deeper in the draft. There's a solid 5 that you could sort of look at. I worry about Will Campbell, even he's part of that 5, but I worry. I feel he is probably the best guard in the draft because of his measurables.
Will Campbell?
Yeah.
They're projecting him as a tackle.
Really? He's bro. Yeah. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, he
ain't stopped him yet.
T-Rex thing going on, man. He got the T-Rex thing.
Only one that I seen pound him, beat the snot out of him is big long. Let me make sure I'm right about that. I think it was Landon Jackson was the one that stuck out, and he's bigger and longer.
Bro, Landon Jackson just be like, yeah, hey man, you know what I mean? You just put that hand on your forehead and you he's wiping it.
Like the tackle that's getting projected right now. I think big Jonas Savanaia, I think he projects more as a guard. I think Will Campbell can play tackle.
I can see what you mean with him too. Like what I'll say about both of those guys, that their lateral movement is fantastic. You know what I mean? They're very, very quick, and they can catch up in situations where they're being, where they're being blown past. So I appreciate that with both of those specific players. Unfortunately, in my opinion, they're both Jurassic Park, right? So I don't know. The guys I would look at.
Here's the guy to pay attention to if you want to know one of the real sleepers left tackles in the draft. This kid from Iowa State that I profiled a few weeks ago, Jalen Travis. Well, I'm just gonna say this. Just take a look, and he won't probably get drafted into somewhere in the middle of the draft, maybe a little later. I don't even know, But he's one of those guys that I'm telling you, we'll be talking about him in the next couple of years. That's what I mean by the fat part of the draft that everybody focuses on. Everybody thinks the draft sucks after that. To me, the draft don't get started until after that shit's over.
Well, Vincent looks good. He's later. Travis looks good. He's later. Rivers looks good. He's later. But I'm talking, who would, if you're looking at left tackle at pick 39 and 41, I'm just going to read these names off. Tell me who's the left. I'm going to skip over Jonas Savaianea. Ariante Ursary. Is he a left tackle?
Yeah.
Like, there's your guy. Cam Williams.
Cameron Williams is, I kind of remember. I think he's a right tackle.
I think he's a right tackle as well. Josh Connerly.
Left tackle.
Josh Connerly's left tackle.
I think he's left. And I'll give you 2 more. Marcus Embo.
Marcus Embo.
Left tackle. He'll probably play guard.
He's a right tackle.
You said left?
No, he's a right tackle.
He's a right.
Marcus Bowe, by the way.
Marcus Bowe.
Missouri?
No,
Purdue. Okay, so not Embo. Okay. It's Mbo, MBOW, right?
You're thinking about Mimbu from Missouri.
Missouri, okay.
Oh, yeah. He's jumped up in this draft class right to like basically pick number 5. He performed very well at the combine, and I was seeing Armand Membu.
I think Anthony Belton might. They neck and neck. They tit for tat. Anthony Belton might be as good or better than him.
Well, I have a quick question for y'all because we're talking about tackles, but right now we solidified the interior in free agency. Who's the backups? Tell me if someone get hurt, who's going to be behind them?
Ryan Bates is still sitting and Bill Murray. They're still sitting on a bench right now.
Bates was almost retired last year because of injury.
What the hell you think I just spent all that time going over the depth chart talking about the offense
and center? That one was Kez wasn't here. That's what I was asking him because he said he wanted to spend more money in free agency or then as far as the draft goes. So our biggest problem has been injury. So who is backing up the interior, which has been the biggest problem we've had? Not the
honestly. FFG, the interior, I've never seen anything like this in my life, but the interior looks so nice right this minute. It looks super nice. So from left to right, you got yourself, you got Tooney, you got Dalman, you got Jonah Jackson. all three of those guys play center. I'm pretty sure worst come worst, you could kick, like, I don't know why you would do it, but you could kick Dalman out to guard if you really wanted to do it. I'm sure you could play guard, but all three of those guys play center. Then you go to Ryan Bates, guard. He also plays center. So we've got center backed up with 4 different people already. Still, we got Stromberg sitting in the wings. So there's layers to the center situation, and we've got a quality starting center. I'm happy.
Tackle because Larry Bourne's not there.
Yes, so we've lost a swing tackle. You're right. So like we're talking about here, left tackle is the play in the grasp of saying, like, left tackle is the play. We still need that. So they're gonna have to look at left tackle. How it's gonna work is either running back in the first or left tackle in the first, or running back at pick 39-41, left tackle at pick 39-41, and a defensive end at pick 39-41. Those are the 3 first picks.
What about safety?
That's how you want. See, we just get safety later on. Doesn't have to be Nick Emma. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be Nick Emma-Wari. But the fact is, whoever we get at safety, he's depth. He's sitting on a bench. So those 3 positions realistically will start. The edge rusher might not start, but he's going to be in a crazy rotation with the existing guys. So and I'd be happy with that because again, we lost Martin, we lost everybody else on the edge except for Montez.
Quick question: is Matt Pryor still on this team, or did he hit free agency?
No, I think he hit free agency, Doc. He's not on this team. I can verify that for you right this minute, but I don't think
Bourne. I did the details about AC. The details about Bourne I didn't see yet. All I knew is that the Dolphins picked him up. Some of that stuff will trickle out later on tonight and early tomorrow.
Didn't we also get another left guard from someplace?
No.
Well, we still got Bill Murray on the team.
They banking on Bill Murray.
We got positional depth at the guard position. I'm happy with it. We've got positional depth at the center position. I'm happy with it. We've got a linchpin right tackle. The real question is that left tackle situation. I think Braxton's great. I think Karan could potentially grow into the role, but I wouldn't bet the farm on those things. So, you know what I mean?
Let's ask this way. Out of the left tackles that you see in the draft, how many would you take right now over Braxton Jones?
Me or him?
Both.
I'll let kids go down. I got one of them.
I'm laughing because he's been calling to replace Braxton Jones for at least a solid year. It's more like 2 years. But again, I think Ariante Ursary as a target would be perfect. I think Josh Conley as a target would be perfect. You'll get them. Those are 2 guys at 39 and 41 that you could likely get access to.
So, I mean, those are the only 2 that you see that can come in and start day one kind of guys better than Braxton.
No, I think Kelvin Bench Jr. would be better than Braxton if you really wanted to do that early in the draft. I think Will Campbell is a question mark, and that's the best way. I think Armand Membu for sure as well. Like, he'd be the next guy too, but I expect both of those guys to be gone by the time we pick.
Well, I'm looking at it from the perspective of they're creating so much competition at so many positions with veteran talent as well as youth that the left tackle position, if they're not sold on Amagaji being a left tackle, he's more of a guard, they're going to keep him inside. If Tooney's best position is guard, they're going to keep him inside. So to create depth and competition for the left tackle position, I would look for a higher draft pick that is starter capable to come in and be like, all right, we're not handing you the position, and Braxton, we're not taking the position. Fight for it. Who wants it?
Yeah, I don't know about Membu on the left, but I would take a shot at it. He's real good.
But definitely a starter quality, with one of those top few picks for left tackle specifically.
Cornelius Squalls, just a question to you and Vic. How many people did you hear outside of this network talking about Holland Pierce
Colin Pearson's real good. You're right, Nomad. You're right. He's real good. He'd be a little bit later. Just a little, like I say, a little bit later. He'd be like mid second round, late third round, right? Like it depending on what you wanted to do. He would fit the bill, in my opinion, too. There's a couple of guys who there's about five guys that I think would be a bit of a lift over above Braxton Jones.
But now, with that said, with the logic that this coaching staff and polls have been addressing things this year, that seems like the logical move. It's like, all right, who do we like as a starting left tackle? We're going to bring them in and let him and Braxton battle it out.
So I didn't particularly like Kelvin Banks Jr. I'm going to say that. Is he a left?
He's a left.
Then maybe it's Kelvin Banks Jr. Like I didn't like the tape. Tape didn't jump off to me, but
well, no, I'm asking you if the tape didn't jump off, you wouldn't consider him a day one starter then.
But you know what I mean? Like at times like this, I don't necessarily take my tape evaluation over the rest of the world's. You know what I mean? I take it for
well, I'm asking you, like the guys that you've seen, the tape you've watched, the drafts that you've done.
If I was drafting, I wouldn't really be aiming at Kelvin Banks Jr. at 10 pick number 10. If I was able to trade back and still get Kelvin Banks Jr. and solidify the spot, yeah, I would do that. All right, like that's probably the best way I could put it.
And now, just to wrap this up from my questioning standpoint, Josh Simmons, which some people believe the best left tackle in the draft coming off the ACL injury or whatever it was.
I like Josh Simmons better.
How far back would you take him?
I would do the same thing. I would trade back from Ken and take Josh Simmons personally over Kelvin Banks Jr. Straight up and down. I would trade back twice if I could and pick up Josh Simmons at like 22 or 20 or something like that.
Okay.
So that to me would be the top. That would be my top available target for left tackle, period. If you can get in and around there and maybe scoop up a couple of picks.
It's to me, those two guys are real, like it's almost looking at the same guy when you look at the film. It's like the same kind of traits. Both of them talking about Simmons and Kelvin Banks.
I like Simmons a lot more, man.
He's more consistent. He's more consistent than Kelvin Banks. I can see why you did.
Yeah.
But now remember, last year we drafted Amagaji in third. He was injured. And Poles called mad-ish for that. You know, taking another injured guy in the first round.
Oh, man, you caught me, man. I totally forgot he was hurt again.
Yeah.
So, like, that's the reason why I've been avoiding the name Josh Simmons this whole time. He brought it back. I gushed. And yeah, he's hurt. So if I was – you want a starter. You know what I mean? If he's not going to start on the line, I wouldn't be selecting him at 25 or wherever he's slated. I wouldn't be selecting him that early in the draft because, again, whoever you're putting this capital into, big first-round capital, you want them to play football for you immediately.
We're gonna roll out in about 15 minutes, y'all. We're gonna hang and see if something shakes in the next 15 minutes. Keep talking about the draft and these players, but I'm Kes said enough. I'm gonna just leave his takes out there. But there's a plethora of guys that I really like. There's tackles that can come in here and start day one. Lots of them, in my opinion.
You put them in the competition, right? No, man. Like I'm with you. Even if they're undrafted, you put those guys in a competition and see what shakes out. And that speaks to FFGs. Get that depth, etc. I have no problem with that. But whoever you're taking in that first round or with your first pick, you want that guy to start and play football. So unfortunately, as much as I did like Josh Simmons, that kind of takes him off my list with that first pick.
I wish there's some players out there, man. Like there's a couple of players like way down there that people don't think a whole lot of because nobody's really talking about them. You're talking about an athletic freak that can allow you to do anything And he's a left tackle at a very small school, but I've seen tackles at these small schools turn out to be great professionals. I just said one. Terran Armstead just came from an HBCU and blew it up. I've seen many of them do that. But this kid named Charles Grant from William and Mary, I am telling you guys, we did the show on it. FFG did it with me, and we were talking about him.
He can play.
Man, I'm telling y'all, dude, there's some dudes out there, dog. You just got to know what you're looking at. Like, that guy is an athlete, and he's huge.
What about Vincent? Wasn't he a starting caliber left tackle?
Yep. He's from where is that? From Alabama State.
One of the HBCUs.
Alabama State or Alabama A&M, one of them.
Well, here's the thing, y'all. We really need to know what Dan Rochard thinks, because that's whose opinion matters the most around here. Because he thinks he can turn any old body into a starter and a Pro Bowler.
FFG,
that's what I want to see how they go in that direction. FFG, any of these offensive line pieces that they're going to pick up in the draft, because I'm thinking that he says, "Hey, trade back as many picks you want, because I know I can pick up gems and I can train them to be no joke." Because how many of them dudes in New Orleans did we ever hear about in college? Almost none of them, and they all became Pro Bowlers.
Do you hear it all when you're talking? I'll try to help you out. Dan Rochard drafted Terran Armstead from Arkansas Pine Bluff. I was trying to help you out.
Right, but that's what I'm saying though. This guy is a genius when it comes to offensive line play. So why not, fall back and let him decide, because he may not see what we've been all seeing on TV, because these guys are always on TV and not the littler schools or not the guys that aren't getting the most play that he can actually develop.
FFG back on 55th.
55th Garfield, Museum of Science and Industry.
Goddamn Smitty.
We ain't hearing a god doggone thing when he talking. He just pull that string and he goes. I'm trying to help you out, man. But that's
no smoking, littering, or radio playing allowed.
79 Ashland.
That's what it comes down to, though. FFG, you really hit the nail on the head. They're going to let Dan Rochard sort of go to town with this thing. I would not. Same token with, like I'm saying it with the running back. I would not be surprised if there are two specific left tackles that he's looking at. One early in the draft and one later for development purposes. And we'll see what those guys shake out as. Now, he may also have similar feelings about Quran. So, my hands are up. We'll see what he decides and how that shakes out. I do think that a left tackle will show up for the Chicago Bears with these first three picks. Like I think that's a lock. I'll knock on wood on that. I think that's a lock. Same token, it's either running back or tight end, maybe. Like I'll even throw if Tyler Warren is available, I would not be super surprised if they made the move. I don't know if I'd really like it, but I don't know how surprised I would be.
I'm learning to be a podcaster, guys. I'm learning to understand things in a different light. Like me, before I was a podcaster, sitting and watching the draft with the homeboys and ranting and raving about what they do or don't do. It's different than being a podcaster. Now I have to take a different perspective of it, because I see the draft in a certain way. And I never really dove into the player profiles as much as I did. I always did it, but I do it to the extreme now. I got to really know what I'm talking about. And when we do a show, and not to say that my take is the only take to have, but I could tell you something, man. I'm learning that, whatever we think, they might zig when we say zag. You know what I mean? It's just whatever we think might be far from reality. So far, we've been A1 accurate. We knew they was going to go into the trenches and really get the stuff shored up before they go into the draft, so they didn't go into the draft in a needy way. Now you can really just get the best player you think is available at this point. You know what I mean? There's nobody that you got to have. And so it allows you flexibility. Every GM, every coach wants to be in that situation. We provided that for ourselves. However they did it, they did it. And that's what I'm looking forward to. And so I'm not going to be surprised by I don't think they can really surprise me, but it's possible. You know what I mean? But what they value, the tight end class is very rich. However, that the trenches are really rich on both sides of the ball. I mean, really, really rich. Safety, it's a deep class. You know what I mean? So to me, I think an edge rusher. Those are the three. To me, those are the three positions. I know. I'm pretty sure that's going to be at the top of their board.
Yeah, like I said, got to be a starter in any respect. Tight end would be a starter. That's why I would not be extremely surprised. The question really is, is Tyler Warren going to be in and around that 10th pick or whatever? But I doubt it. You know what I mean? I feel like he's going to go a bit earlier. That's just me. I don't know. We'll see how this shakes out. It's got real interesting at this point.
What do we got? A little over a month to go to the draft.
What day is the draft? Because where we are today, what's it today? 11th, 12th, 11th? No? Yeah, the 11th.
The 11th all day long.
And the draft is the 25th, 24th?
Yeah, we got a little over a month.
Yeah. 44 days.
Yeah. The draft simulators are going to look different, and we're going to go through that process tomorrow. And hopefully we'll get a updated, tabulated version of what just happened in free agency, and have that as a we'll be able to get an up to date AI algorithm idea of what I would like to see. Before we do any drafting, kids, I would love to see just let the AI do it the first time, just to see what it does, and what I just want to see that part of it. I haven't done it on my own. I'll probably do that before the show, but just to see if I see any kind of consistencies there. Mike goes, what's up, man?
Just curious, how fast is the update for the signings?
I'm pretty sure it updates
tomorrow
automatically.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it automatic, but it might be done. It might be done and ready by tomorrow's show. It might be ready, just because that
later in the evening.
I believe that they're going to report it earlier tomorrow at the presser. So I'd like to think that they have all the dollars and cents squared away at that point. Once that's done, that'll give these guys a couple hours to update the algorithm and pump it through. So I'd like to think that it'll be ready by then. We'll have to wait and see, though.
Yeah, it's a man. The draft is going to be. I'm really looking forward to seeing if they do it. It might have to happen draft day. But if somehow they were able to acquire some more capital, that's what I really want to see. I think you put yourself in this position to be
to be
able to be flexible, so that you don't have to necessarily take a pick when you got a pick there. If there's a team offering you some stuff that that you can get later on in the draft, this is where you want to be. You're not needy, so you don't have to draft somebody here, there, or anywhere. You can take a couple of offers and get back in the draft and still come up with some gems. I'm telling you, this draft is deep.
I think they're in that position right now with what they've done. That's really where my headspace is. I think they are. I was much more, they did everything I asked for. With the slight exception of it not being Chase Young on the edge.
Like how the hell are people still complaining then?
I'm not complaining.
This is what everybody wants. I'm not talking about the rest of the people in the fan base still crying and complaining about it.
I ain't complaining, bro. I'm just saying, like, slight difference. You know what I mean? Maybe you did that instead of Dayo. Don't really care, because they addressed the edge, they addressed the defensive tackle, they addressed the interior with the center, left tackle, and guard on the other side. The trenches are lit. So that's what we needed. We needed to be able to field a run game. We can probably do that. I don't know if those running backs are worth their salt, though. So I think they should address that. I'm not so sure about Braxton Jones on the other side, so I think we should address that. I'm worried about Jaquan Brisker long term. I think we should address that. We need a tight end. We got rid of the tight ends. Yeah. Like, those are your positions. So I think they're pretty. They're able to be pretty versatile in this draft at this point.
Got a couple of things that just shook loose just now. Let me get back to that screen. So Ty Johnson's going back to the Bills, but I don't know if people knew this. Rams just picked up Coleman Shelton again. Went back to the Rams. So
Again,
he's off the board, so we can take him off the board. And I thought Coleman Shelton had stood a pretty good chance to get back on this roster. Me and Kedge both, multiple times. Kedge probably wanted to re-sign him more than I did, but he's gone.
Only in the case that we did not do the Drew Dalman thing. I was fine personally. I was fine with them doing the Coleman Shelton thing again. And Ryan Pells said, hell no. And he replaced his ass. And I'm fine with that too. It's like I say, as far as I'm concerned, they hit all the positions of need. So they can be flexible. They can be dynamic now in this draft.
Coleman Shelton. As my boy says, OKC Bear says he got. I think I heard that yesterday, but I didn't see it up here. I think I heard it yesterday, so he's probably right about that.
The one move that I kind of wish we did. The one move I wish we actually did was at the running back position with Javonte Williams. Javonte Williams went to the Cowboys for like nothing. I think it was maybe $3 million on a 1 year. It was like a crazy low wallet share deal. But there's guys like that I think could really help round out the running back room. Him, Dameon Pierce.
And it's like 15, 20 of those guys in the draft.
That's
why I do it.
Well, fair enough. Like in this draft, like I'm with you. We went through the list. I was in the chat at the time, but the list is extensive. They can easily get 2 game-changing backs this time around. Like I'm
draft one, UDFA one.
Or sure, if somebody falls into UDFA, you can easily do it. You can still do it in some of these drafts. We found Devin Neal in like the 6th or 7th round. You know what I'm saying? Like there's guys out there who will fall because this draft is so running back deep. Whoever falls, might be a great guy to spend a 7th round pick on.
Well, Smitty's saying draft one of CFP and Wheeler. I would rather draft one, middle late rounder, bring in a UDFA, and have them all compete with Wheeler.
Mm-hmm.
I'm eager to know what kind of what's his injury status. How well is he rehabbing from that knee? How strong is his legs, and is he even ready? That's one of the questions. You ain't heard a word about Ian Wheeler.
Yeah, no words about him. I like his running style. His running style was, from what I was seeing, reminded me a lot of is it Jordan Mason? Cat from San Francisco.
Jordan
Mason. He ran us up and down, right? Like I see a little bit of Ian Wheeler and Jordan Mason and vice versa, but that knee is anybody's guess. So me personally, I'd be looking in this draft and in this UDFA market for 2 backs, powerhouse back, Thunder and Lightning, get Ben Johnson what he had or something darn similar to it, because in my opinion, it's imperative that they take some of the weight off of Caleb Williams' shoulders by making that run game something that teams fear.
Man, scroll with the take of the day. He's talking about Coleman Shelton. He says, feels like the Rams let us borrow their car. Didn't tell us it was stolen.
Well, check this out. Ian Wheeler is going to be a doctor, so I'm pretty sure he knows some real good medical professionals helping him get
he'll fix his own knee. He'll fix his own damn knee.
Let us borrow Coleman Shelton, and he had the damn serial number scratched off.
We just left him at the mall. We was done with him.
Wow! Like later on, we'll have a whole conversation just about that visual, man. We'll have a whole chat. Man,
all right, we right there at the shake loose. Let me look one more time at free agency if see anything popped up, and I think it's fully refreshed and nothing. That's it, man. That's what's going on today. I think you guys might be right. They might hold serve right now until. Tomorrow's a whole other day. We'll see what they do tomorrow. But yeah, that's what we got today, man. No news in the Bears or from the Bears front office. And that was that, man. We hung around with you guys for 3.5 hours, man. It was fun too. 350 people in here. Make sure you guys hit that like button. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe, share the content, but be sure to hit the subscribe if you want to come in here and chat. You'll see a subscribers only notification if you go into the chat. That only means just go hit the subscribe button. It's free. And you can come on in here and chat with us, man. We talk hella football over here, and it's good and it's fun. With that being said, let me pass it on to Canuck for some pleasantry so we can get up out of here.
Oh, damn. Yeah. Joseph Archer, shout out to you. Super No Maniac Joseph Archer. Thanks for coming through, dog. What's he saying? So Nomad, which running backs are we going to go after? And which running backs are we going to keep? Haha. We'll talk about all that there tomorrow on some extra sauce with me, Triple R, and the Nomad himself. That being said, by all means, go check out Keds the Canuck on YouTube. Give me a like, share, and a subscribe. I will be multicasting this baby over there tomorrow night as well. We are multicasting moving forward. That's the move. Shout out to my guy in the grasp, Victor Perez. What it do? Super No Maniac Victor Perez, that is. The White Ghost is with us. So is the Scrolls. Always good to have both of y'all here. Scrolls, you always somehow find the funniest take in the building, man. Somehow you do it every time and keep us cracking. AC Adams with us. Nick Rembert was all over the chat. Shout out to you. Shout out to Smitty Q. OKC Bear. What it do, brother? Richard Long. What's up? I'm sorry. Marlon Johnson, shout outs to you as well. Big ups to the Super No Maniac himself and Super No Maniac FFG, who's down with me, who's right here. Ron C in the place to be as well. Who else we got out there, man? Larry T. What it do, Larry T? Derek Guy, Super No Maniac Derek Guy. Thanks for joining up. By all means, become a Super No Maniac and subscribe, please. We would appreciate all the support you can give us. AC Adams was down with us. So was my guy, Cornelius Squalls, number 2 No Maniac. Who else is out there in a mix? Rex Smith is doing the darn thing with us in the chat. It's Crimson You Dig. He's all over the chat. An original wrench holding Super No Maniac. Gotta love it's Crimson. Same thing with Dr. Earl. Shout out to you, Dr. Earl. Thanks for coming through. Where else we going? Who else is up there? Man, this chat was bumping today, man. You guys were crazy. I had to jump in. Oh, shout out to me for being in the chat and spreading hate. It was great. It was awesome being on the other. It was good being on the other side of things. Shout out to Ron Winarski. Big ups, Ron. Big ups to Real Bears fan Chris Foster, aka Real Bears fan. Got to put the 2 and 2 together. Shout out to ATF. Big ups to you, sir. Joe Vizzo Joe, doing the darn thing in the chat. Gotta love Joe Vizzo. Man, this chat was crazy today. But that's
I do remember earlier I saw Aunt Moss, PJ.
Oh, shout out to both of them. I didn't catch them. Sophisticated Thoughts is also in that
mix. There's a lot of people in the chat. Laz,
it's 350
we had a bunch of people.
You know what I'm saying? Bears fans joining the Nomad Network on a Tuesday afternoon.
Oh, Tuesday.
By the way, searching
for Old Doomsday.
That is Naj. That is my guy Naj. That is Naj.
That's a nudge?
That's Naj.
Yeah, he was the first one in the chat. Talking
Shout out, Naj. I think that rounds it out, though. I think I covered just about everybody. But hey, man, if there's 350 people in the chat watching the show, these likes should be way up there. Please wipe your feet on the way out. Give us a little bit of love. And by all means, subscribe to Keds the Canuck. I would appreciate it. FFG, what do you got to say, brother?
No, I think we had a good time today just by going over what the Bears are doing and what we think they may do in the future and try to put our headspace of where they're going to go. The chat was blowing up again. It's constantly bumping. I love this. Dedicated, passionate Bears fans are always out there giving us their all every time we're on the air. So I can't not resist coming on here and being a part of this. So thank you guys for the opportunity. And thank all you in the chat, people listening at home, people might listen to it later. Thank you.
It is nice to have a discussion, during free agency when the majority of the overall draft grades are A's and B's thus far. just in general, there may be a C there because of Dayo and people aren't familiar with him.
And an A plus, maybe. It's a good
right. But it's on the upper echelon of the grading curve or the grading scale.
Yeah.
And it's a new direction. We got the number one coaching prospect, and he's put together a staff of vets and young guys. Now we attack free agency with vets and young guys. The way that the direction this team is going, I can see why there's so many people that are interested and willing and wanting to, discuss, talk about. Of all the views, not everybody's even in the chat or participating in the chat. They just like to listen to see what these fools is talking about. These fools being y'all three, because I'm no fool. So they tune in. Look at the looks of those faces. I love it. So they all tuning in, to see like, hey, what's going on with the Bears, baby? Let's go to the Nomad Network because Nomad be breaking it down. Kids coming in hating from Canada. FFG, he's not wearing his Windsor tie today, but he's good. And then Triple R, the mastermind behind sports Chicago style that everybody should show some love to as well. All my hefty heifers.
Yeah.
Make those jiggles wiggle. Gotta love it. So hey, it's all good. It's all good. Make sure you are joining us tonight as well for some extra sauce. So yeah, big up to all of No Maniacs and all of the prospective No Maniacs.
What's that last thing
tomorrow, bro?
Join us for what?
Extra sauce
tomorrow.
Come check us out. But go ahead, Trips. I had to throw that in there.
Look at that timing on the production tip. I see. But yeah, thanks everyone, and look forward to seeing you tomorrow. And hey, bear down.
So I never know. Thank you guys for being here. This is just right now. Everybody could be doing different things right now, but we all chose to get together and come in here and make sure you guys get some great content in the middle of the day. We are normally a evening show. That's what we normally do. But I'm grateful for these guys jumping in and giving their 2 cents to everything we're trying to do today. We're just trying to put it all together at the Nomad Network over there on Keds' channel at Keds of Canuck. Check him out. I would encourage everybody to go over there. And I don't see enough subs when I looked over there last night. Come on now, No Maniacs.
We need to get that up.
Same thing with Trips. Y'all make sure y'all go subscribe to Sports Chicago Style. What are y'all doing? Trips is putting out great content, man. He's role playing all these different characters. He's giving you good fitness advice, great fashion advice. I don't know about fashion, but great food advice. You know what I mean? He's over there doing a lot of stuff, and I know how Trips thinks. Trips is
wearing them socks. Socks over there, Trip.
Whatever he's doing, hey, kids, you know how Trip is. Whatever he's doing, that ain't the end of the story. It's just the beginning. He's gonna add to whatever he's doing over there, whatever characters he can come up with. He's a very entertaining guy. I love Trips, man, because of that. He's the entertainer over here, man, and we love him. And so I never know what to say at the end of these shows, but I know this. Y'all been great to us, and y'all always have been. Make sure you keep bringing that same energy because we're going to keep pumping out the content. We're going to keep coming together and making sure you guys get good stuff, man. So I just want to say a thank you guys for that. I'm going to leave you guys with these famous words. If you can think it and you can see it, there's no reason in the world why you cannot absolutely manifest it. Do not, now repeat, do not be a prisoner of your own mind. Well, with that being said, we are out.